The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees. Decision 2025. Live debate coverage is brought to you by the Saskatchewan Realtors Association, the Regina and Region Home Builders Association, and APAS.
Good evening and welcome to Decision 2025, Our Country, Our Vote. My name is Lisa Peters and I will be your moderator for these debates. I want to recognize and acknowledge the location for tonight's debates is situated on Treaty 4 lands. These are the traditional territories of the Cree, Dene, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, the Saulteaux, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Access Communications is committed to honoring the history, spirituality, and rich culture of Indigenous peoples of this region. This evening is brought to you by the Saskatchewan Realtors Association, the Regina and Region Home Builders Association, AccessNow TV, and the Regina District Chamber of Commerce. In preparation for the evening debates, draws were made for podium placement, opening and closing comments. Tonight's debate will be for the candidates in the Regina Lewvan riding. I want to now introduce our candidates for this evening's debate. At podium 1, we have Ray Aldinger, New Democratic Party. At podium 2, Michael Wright, Green Party of Canada. At podium 3, Warren Steinley, Conservative Party. At podium 4, Mac Hurd, Liberal Party of Canada. At podium 5, Godwin Izizor, People's Party of Canada. Now we're going to give each candidate 2 minutes for opening comments, and we will begin with Michael Wright. Michael, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. So the Green Party is very happy to be here representing in this election. We are here for a number of reasons. We have principles of peace, of sustainability, of participatory democracy. And we've seen that these principles are being violated to the south of us, to the south of our nation. And we're very concerned that in Canada we're going to have the type of violence, the type of ignorance infiltrate our society. So we refuse to have that. We refuse to become a two-party system, so the Green Party is here to represent. We're here to talk about proportional representation. For example, we're about to elect a majority government once again with less than 50% of the vote. We are demanding that everybody's vote should count. Not only in this election, but in every election that follows. So past promises on proportional representation, we're demanding they be kept. We're demanding that as we build new housing in this nation, as we build more infrastructure, that we not forget the piece on sustainability. We are going to be having infrastructure built from east to west. We have a railroad that's super old, that's going to need to be updated, old since the days of Confederation. We're demanding that we not forget that we need to build electricity infrastructure, that this will be a key part of the future. Manitoba has been talking about sending electricity to Saskatchewan, but we don't have the interconnections to take the extra electricity from Manitoba that they want to send it. All the infrastructure has been built oriented towards the United States. This is part of the green angle that we are bringing into this election. So it's about peace, it's about participatory democracy, it's about our democracy itself. Vote green if you want to remember that this is a great nation of many voices, not just two.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. All right, Mr. Aldinger, you have opening comments. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and happy Earth Day. I stand before you today with great humility and excitement as your NDP candidate for Regina Lewvan. I'm running because I believe in the power of the people, and I also believe in the people living in this community, and also in a shared better future for everyone. We all know the challenges we are facing, and I understand that we deserve real solutions and not empty promises again and again. That's why I'm here today, to listen and to deliver real solutions in lockstep with the people of this community. I would like to speak to a few topics that have been coming up on the doorsteps in Regina Lewvan. Healthcare. Access to healthcare is in fact a human right. Our healthcare system is neglected when the NDP don't have a voice federally and provincially. A healthy community is a strong community. When we work together, real solutions are met. Housing is another topic. Affordable housing for seniors and families hasn't been spoken to enough over the last several years. This is now a serious crisis that is affecting all families across Canada in some shape or another. The current patchwork solutions aren't working. We need to work with provincial governments, municipal, nonprofit, private home builders to address this crisis now. The economy is one of the other big ones that keeps coming up as well. The heart of this economy is working people. When people feel this worried about the weather, whether or not they can pay their own bills every month, who is this economy working for? Thank you, Anne McWitch. I want to share my favorite Tommy Douglas quote with you. Courage, my friends. 'Tis not too late to build a better world.
All right, thank you, Mr. Aldinger. To you, Mr. Izizor, you have 2 minutes for opening comment.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Godwin Izizor. I am here to represent the People's Party of Canada. The People's Party of Canada right now is the only party that's actually speaking, that have real solution and speaking out the unspoken concerns of Canadians. My background, I have a background in engineering and also in ministry as a preacher. I've been involved in so many projects and activities over the period of my lifetime. And so the reason I came into politics is not for a title or not to, for a name, but because I see a nation that is losing its truths, its values, and its identity. 11 years ago, I came to this country, and you can arguably say that this is one of the best countries in the world. And right before our eyes, we can see that the parties that we have, the mainstream parties that we have today, do not represent the people. But just like the name of my party says, the People's Party of Canada, I'm here to represent the people because power belongs to the people. And so there are a lot of issues that tonight we'll be talking about, but the most important thing is this. We've had leadership, we've had elections in the past, we've had people that have represented us, but where do we find ourselves in our country today? We all know that the country is not moving in the direction that it should be. So that's the reason why I stepped. There are issues that border on the economy, the cost of living, housing, and so many other issues that we shall be talking about. So I'm here because I believe that the People's Party is the only party that has these strong solutions that we need. So I want to encourage you we want to bring restore economic sanity, defend Canadian energy, and then return the power back to the people. Please vote for the People's Party. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Izizor. All right, to you, Mr. Hurd. You have 2 minutes for opening comment.
Hi, I'm Mac Hurd, your Liberal candidate here in Regina Lewvan. I was born and raised right here in Regina, and I've spent my entire career working to advance Saskatchewan's interest. I'm a scientist by training, but I answered the call to serve in government, where I served as a longtime advisor to former MP and Minister Ralph Goodale, where I fought to make sure Regina and Saskatchewan had a strong voice in Ottawa. During that time, I learned how to navigate our political system and get things done. That work delivered real results, including $65 million for STARS Air Ambulance, $10 million for the Globe Theatre to support major renovations in our downtown core, $1.7 billion across the prairies to clean up abandoned oil and gas wells, $400 million of which came right here to Saskatchewan, creating local jobs while responsibly protecting and cleaning up our environment, and doubling federal economic development funding for the prairies to help local businesses grow and succeed. Today, I'm continuing the work of supporting our province in the private sector working in business development at a major local agri-food company, helping Saskatchewan-grown crops reach global markets, and supporting jobs and growth right here at home. Now, with Donald Trump threatening Canada's economy and sovereignty, and Pierre Poilievre and his Conservative allies seem ready to follow his leads by importing American-style division and deep cuts, I've put my name forward to make sure Saskatchewan has strong, experienced representation in Ottawa when it matters most. I believe we deserve leadership that delivers for Regina Lewvan. That's why I'm running, and that's why I'm asking for your support.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hurd. And to you, Mr. Steinle, 2 minutes for opening comments.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to welcome my fellow colleagues here on the stage today. Thank you for being at the debate. I've been the MP for Regina Lewvan for the last 5 years. It's been an honor to serve the people of Regina Lewvan. The Conservative plan for change will mean you can afford food and housing in safe communities. Our plan for change includes will cut the Liberal deficit by 70%, with less spending on bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, and handouts to insiders and special interests, while boosting growth with resource jobs. We'll lower income taxes by 15%, saving the average worker $900 and the average working family $1,800 per household. We'll build 2.3 million homes by axing a tax on home sales and paying cities to cut taxes to save $100,000 per home. We'll use federal lands and get gatekeepers out of the way to speed up home building. We'll lock up criminals to make our streets safe again. I think when you walk around Regina, one of the things I hear most often is the conversation around crime and chaos in our streets. That's why we proposed a 3-strike rule to ensure someone that has committed 3 crimes should be in jail for at least 10 years to make our streets safer for our kids, friends, and family. We'll put Canada first for a change, and it's time for us to look nationally at national building projects. It's time to build an east-west pipeline. It's time to build a national energy corridor to make sure that we can get investment into our country. It's our plan to rebuild our economy and open new markets so we can reduce our reliance on the USA. Canada has to become more self-reliant and a reliable trading partner around the world once again. That's our plan to make Canada the greatest country in the world. And once again, I ask for your support humbly on April 8th to be your representative in Ottawa and take Saskatchewan's voice to Ottawa instead of having someone bring Ottawa's voice to Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. And thank you to everyone for your opening comments. All right, we will begin with our debate. We will give you the first question. We'll go to Mr. Aldinger, and we will give you 1 minute to respond. Our first question is local and economic. So the question is, how will you support the diversification of Regina's economy beyond traditional industries like oil, gas, and agriculture?
So, you know, this is an easy one. You know what? We need to be investing in people. People are what drive an economy. Small businesses, such as the farms that are in this riding, from talking to a few of them, they felt like they've been left out of the equation. So when it comes to driving the economy, we need to be investing in services for people to make sure that they are getting the resources they need, and at the end of that, everyone else benefits from that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aldinger. And to you, Mr. Wright, you have 1 minute.
Sure. So we need to be focusing on decentralizing the money. In Canada, I'm sure that we will see a lot of the money in the housing market being directed towards factories in Ontario, whereas in Regina, we want to make sure that we get our share of the construction of new houses. And as we do that, we want to make sure that there's programs in place so these are sustainable, cost-effective houses for the future. Unfortunately, in Saskatchewan, we've had governments that have gotten rid of things like incentives to have solar panels on the roofs of your houses. I mean, that's the type of thing that we would need now to diversify. If you want to diversify away from oil and gas, one of the logical ways to go would be alternative energy generation that would be in contrast. So we can definitely use the resources we have, but we should develop an economy of the future that would better serve our people, not be a one-trick pony.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Steinle, you have 1 minute.
We have a policy that speaks directly to this, actually. Reducing the capital gains tax back to where it was before to ensure that people can reinvest their money. And with that money that they're going to save on capital gains, if you reinvest it into Canadian companies, you actually get that complete write-off. So it's going to supercharge the economy and make sure that people are reinvesting into Canadian companies. In Regina, Saskatchewan, we have absolutely great tech startup companies. We've done a lot of things in agriculture, new tech startups at the incubator at Connexus, and I think there's reinvestment from that capital gains policy that will allow us to see our new technologies boom in Regina and across Saskatchewan and Canada, and that's a policy that speaks directly to that we announced during the campaign.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. And to you, Mr. Hurd. You have 1 minute.
I think the major piece we have to do here in Saskatchewan is invest in broader value-added and advanced manufacturing so that we're not just shipping raw goods, but creating jobs and opportunities with the things that we grow, mine, and invent. That's how we break the boom-bust cycle that we are so often caught in. And that boom-bust cycle not just affects our major commodities here in Saskatchewan, but also impacts every other part of the economy. We need to diversify away from that with new investments in value-added manufacturing.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Mr. Azizor, you have 1 minute.
Yeah, so it's basically cut the red tapes, make it conducive for the private sector to be able to invest. Every businessman wants to, there's a private sector that creates jobs and opportunities. So the simple solution I'm going to fight for is to cut the red tapes. The red tapes have been placed by the past governments. So I will fight and ensure that we take away, first of all, we try to balance the budget, which the PPC has clearly said, cut the red tapes, abolish all the, take away capital gains and all the other stuff that's hindering businesses. And so with that, you can create a viable economy so that people can reinvest their profit for productivity. If you don't have, if the environment, if the business environment is not conducive because of the red tapes and the regulatory issues, you really have the same issue that cuts across the province and even nationally. So that's what the People's Party want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Azizor. All right, we are on to our second question. We're going to talk about job creation. This question will first go to Mr. Wright. Regina has seen job losses in certain sectors over the past few years. What specific measures will you take to create new jobs in the city, especially for young people?
Okay, so like we've been talking about, like I mentioned previously, we have a shortage of housing in this city. I understand that various parties, basically all the parties, are proposing that the federal government will be building houses. So we need to make sure that our young people in the city get a share of that. We've recently kind of come out of a period where there was a boom in construction. So we do have people around that have skills, that have knowledge. So those people are well positioned to be training, to be the journey people, to train our young people, to be apprentices, to build the homes we need. We know that houses are way too expensive in our city. So even if we weren't going to spend, even if it weren't a job creation idea to be building the houses, we know we need to build those anyways. And we need to build them so not just single family homes, we need to have the types of apartment buildings, the missing middle, 2-story, 3-story buildings for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Steinle, you have 1 minute.
Under the lost Liberal decade, 6 in 10 young people don't think they're going to be able to afford a home. The first thing we need to do is make sure that home ownership is within reach, and that's done with good paying jobs. One thing we have to do in Regina is to continue to fight for pipelines. I know the Liberals are going to keep Bill C-69 in place. If that bill is in place, not one pipeline will be built in Canada, and the people, the hardworking people at USW 58 and 90 will not have jobs at Everest Steel. We have to protect the jobs we have and then grow our resource sector to continue to have more jobs for people in our community. And with those good paying jobs, we got to ensure that there's houses for them to buy. That's why we've committed to building 2.3 million houses in our first 4 years, so housing affordability becomes within reach for young people. This is the first generation that thinks they're going to be worse off than their parents, and that should never happen in Canada.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. Mr. Hurd, you have 1 minute.
Well, I think the first step in building a stronger economy is making sure that here in Canada we have one economy, not 13 different ones. So Mr. Carney has a plan and has brought the premiers together to make sure that we cut all of the interprovincial trade barriers that hold up all sorts of economic development for us here in Saskatchewan. The second step is also making sure that we're getting Canada back on track on housing, on immigration, government spending, and income growth for all Canadians, and that takes building again. Mr. Carney has an incredible plan to drive trade diversification through ports, railways, highways, and airports, all that enable our trade here in Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Mr. Azizor, you have 1 minute.
So the People's Party to creation of job comes from the employers create job, business owners create jobs. So we will just come back to the same issue of cutting capital gains, cut the business tax rates to 15%, so that companies can reinvest their money and their salary and into productivity efforts. And I just want to speak briefly about pipelines because that's one of our strengths in this province. We have the oil and gas. And we have to repeal BC 48, the Oil Tanker Moratorium Act, and also BC 69, because ultimately, if we get our oil and gas industry booming, it's going to help us for us to create more jobs. Good paying jobs come from business owners. So we're going to have to, again, take out all these red tapes that are created by the liberal government of the past decade, alongside with the conservative that have just pandered along. That's why the People's Party is here. We want to bring true actionable solution to this province.
Thank you, Mr. Azizor. And to you, Mr. Aldinger, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Who will build an economy that works for people? Not the powerful. The heart of the economy is working people. When people are feeling this worried about whether they can pay their bills, who is the economy working for right now? And things are going to get even tougher. Under Liberals and Conservatives, the powerful and wealthy keep getting further ahead, and the rest of us keep falling behind. For them, the economy is about investors and corporations and profits. And that doesn't work for you. I'm focused on growth that works for you and for your family, where you have a chance to get ahead. Right now, that means a plan to buy Canadian and build Canadian, to fight for every job, including jobs in the public sector. Right now, what we're seeing is 2 million jobs in Canada that will be affected by this potential trade war that has gotten started. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aldinger. All right, candidates, our next question is on housing affordability and has been recorded in advance by Stu Niebergall of Regina and Region Home Builders Association. Let's have a listen.
Housing remains one of Canada's biggest election issues. The great Canadian dream of home ownership isn't what it once was. For many young Canadians, it feels more like a fantasy than a future. What is your party's plan to make homeownership a realistic goal again, particularly for first-time buyers?
All right, this first question will go to you, Mr. Steinley. You heard the question? You're good to go?
Absolutely.
All right, you have 1 minute.
Well, Stu, thank you very much for the question. And housing is a huge issue. We've talked about it for years. Actually, I always say imitation is the finest form of flattery, and the Liberals copied our suggestion of reducing and taking off the GST on homes. Ironically, all the MPs voted against it about 6 months ago in the House of Commons, and now they're running on our platform idea. So take the GST off of homes, incentivize municipalities to ensure that red tape is cut so that homes can get built. We all know that supply and demand is an issue. So if you have a higher housing supply, then prices will come down. And that's why we've committed to building $2.3 million homes to ensure that that supply is there. So that, like I said earlier, 6 in 10 young people don't think they can buy a home in Canada. And that's not good enough. And that's happened under the last 10 years of the Liberal government.
Thank you, Mr. Steinley. To you, Mr. Hurd, you have 1 minute.
Yeah, we agree. We should eliminate the GST on for first-time home buyers. We need to also cut red tape, but a Mark Carney-led government will do something different. We will get the government back into the business of building homes directly. This is exactly what we did after World War II. It worked. It built entire communities here in Regina. That's what we need to get back to. A Mark Carney-led government will create a new Crown Corporation Build Canada Homes that will double the rate of building homes here in this country to 500,000 new homes a year.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. And to you, Mr. Azizor, 1 minute.
The People's Party government will reduce the Bank of Canada inflation target from 2% to 0%. We're part of the way to cool down the inflation in all sectors, including housing. We respect local planning. We ensure that local municipality governments are the ones that manages the uniqueness of their location. We'll privatize and dismantle the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, because it's just a bureaucratic organization that's not serving the interest of the people. And then we will restrict foreign home buyers. That's part of the problem we have in this country. So we will restrict people that bring money from Asia to come and buy houses. That goes beyond what local Canadians can afford. And finally, we will have to reduce the immigration number. One of the biggest issue about housing is the mass immigration. And much as an immigrant, we have to plan for the number. The Liberal Party brought about 1.3 million people in the last 2 years. We will reduce that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Azizor. And to you, Mr. Aldinger, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Who will take on the corporate landlords and investors and make housing more affordable for regular people? A good job should be enough to get you a decent home that fits your family. The Canadian of our dreams includes homes for everyone. Also, under the Liberals, the housing crisis has only gotten worse. They've let us down while letting corporate landlords treat housing as a way to make a buck. Mr. Poilievre's plan is built for corporate landlords, not renters. The government needs to use every tool at its disposal to help people find homes they can afford. This isn't something new. This has been going on for years. We'll stop big corporate landlords from buying up affordable homes and give nonprofits more funding to buy and keep them affordable. And we'll launch a massive housing program to help create jobs, to keep our economy going.
Thank you, Mr. Aldinger. We'll move to you, Mr. Wright. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. So history teaches us that the private sector alone won't build the houses we need. It was a government program that built those houses in the late 40s and 50s. It was other government programs that built rental and co-op housing in the 70s, and that's the type of investment we need. The houses that are currently being built, these are homes that make a profit for the developers, and by rights they should. They shouldn't be losing money on it. But the homes that we need don't necessarily make a profit for the developers. That's why we need to have the government also stepping in, also building homes to increase that supply so that the supply-demand curve makes it cheaper for us. We also need to talk about the regulations. The home that I live in that was built in 1912 would not be allowed to be built today because it doesn't have the right number of square footage for bedrooms. All kinds of places like that could not be built today because they don't have space for a car to be parked. People want to live in those homes, homes that were built. Houses that are built in the past should still be legal today.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. We will move on to our fourth question. It is on economic policy and budget. What is your party's strategy in dealing with the ever-changing U.S. tariffs? This question will go to you, Mr. Hurd. You have 1 minute.
Perfect. Well, Mr. Carney has a great plan to fight back against the American tariffs. First, we have to protect our own workers. That comes from reinvesting all profits from tariffs back into support for affected workers. The second piece is putting those tariffs in place. We need to have a very strong response. And the third and most important is a plan to diversify away from this overexposure and over-reliance on American exports. Mr. Carney is going to make sure that we build again in this country so that we aren't ever put in this position again.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. To you, Mr. Azizor, you have 1 minute.
Okay, first of all, I think that the idea that we're trying to fight a dollar-for-dollar tariff to the Americans won't get us the solution we need. The economy of the U.S. is 10 times bigger than Canada, so it's all political pandering to try to fight. We'd rather figure a way to get back to the table and negotiate with them and find a solution, just like a few premiers in the West here are doing. Our economic policy is pretty straightforward. We're going to eliminate corporate welfare. We will balance the budget. Our national debt has soared. We remove corporate welfare, giving money to corporate organizations. We'll cut that off. We'll lower corporate taxes. We'll abolish capital gain tax, and we will promote Canadian employment. We will eliminate, we will balance the budget in 1 year. We'll be taking money from, we'll get some money like 10 billion from foreign aid. We'll also have other means. We're going to cut money to other sources that money is being wasteful spending that has been happening in Ottawa. And then we'll restore power and the money and the budget back to the people.
Thank you, Mr. Azizor. To you, Mr. Aldinger, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. New Democrats will invest in services for people who rely on these services and the infrastructure in the communities. Now is not the time for cuts. Slashing public services right now is the last thing regular Canadians need. Cuts to healthcare, education mean underfunded services get even worse. Mr. Polyev and Mr. Carney are both planning cuts that will make their billionaire buddies happy and hurt the rest of us. And they're both promising costly tax giveaways for millionaires again. This isn't the time to cut. This is the time to spend on things people need. It's the time to protect jobs, whether that's a nurse or her neighbor who works in the automotive sector. Decades of Liberal and Conservative cuts have left communities and infrastructure deficient and have left people struggling with an inadequate public services.
All right, thank you, Mr. Aldinger. To you, Mr. Wright, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Yes, it is, as my colleague described, a battle between David and Goliath. But I would suggest my friend should study his scripture. In that battle, the winner was David. We don't need to be afraid just because a big bully is trying to push us around. We built a nation by building a railroad 150 years ago. In Saskatchewan, we know that that railroad is part of what makes us part of Confederation. The answer is going to be by sticking together, building more infrastructure, building the railways of the future, building the electricity of the future. I don't know if the answer is in adjusting counter tariffs. Tariffs are a way of aggression. It is a type of economic war. The Green Party is more a party devoted to peace. So I think that we want to be devoted more to finding out who our friends are, finding out who we want to trade with around the world in a sustainable way. That would be the way we can do it in Canada. We'll have our Made in Canada solution. We don't need to worry about what's happening in another country if we have the right answers for us.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. To you, Mr. Steinley, you have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. I think Mr. Hurd has amnesia. Like, nothing's been built in Canada in the last 10 years. And that's why we're in the position that we are in. We need to be more self-reliant. Mr. Hurd talked about diversifying our options when it comes to trading partners. Japan and Germany came to Canada and asked for our LNG. The Carney-Trudeau Liberals turned them down. Those two countries went to the States, signed a deal with Donald Trump. Now billions of dollars are going to the American economy that should be coming to the Canadian economy. We failed over the past 10 years. The answer to the trade is to ensure that we have the infrastructure to get our goods to market. And if they don't repeal Bill C-69, nothing in this country will be built, and we will be self-reliant on the States. We need to have partners like Germany and Japan and be able to get our goods to market. And unless we build infrastructure, that will never happen.
Thank you, Mr. Steinley. All right, our fifth question is on local representation. This question will go to you, Mr. Azizor, first. How will you ensure that the voices of Regina residents are heard and prioritized in federal policy decisions, particularly in areas like resource development, health care, and education? You have 1 minute.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm running. The reason the People's Party is out there in Ottawa is to stand for the local people that you're representing. How I will ensure to do that is to have quarterly engagement with the people, have town halls, and boldly engage with the people and get the feedback as often as possible as my schedule allows me from Ottawa. And also, I will also be able to speak on the platform of the issues that the People's Party have talked about in terms of the concerns that we have with the economy, with our education, with our health system, and all of that. Work closely with the provincial governments and even the municipal government and see how we can put resources together to ensure that the issues that are bothering us in our local riding here can be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Azizor. To you, Mr. Aldinger. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. A really good starting point that I don't hear mentioned very often is the small businesses in this community. It's a great starting point. We will stand up for small businesses in the face of this trade war. We're not hearing that a lot. We're hearing more of corporations being stood up for. So small businesses are often the engines of job creation in Canada, and they are important parts of every community across this country. Small businesses were hit hard by the pandemic, then by supply chain issues, and then by the cost of living and inflation crisis. And now they will be hit even harder with this upcoming trade war. New Democrats will call for an aggressive building program to keep people working and spending money in their communities. Another piece that I haven't really heard mentioned a lot about is mental health in our communities. It's lacking in funding, and we need to be addressing that and dealing with the long wait list.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Aldinger. To you, Mr. Wright. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you. So it's been unfortunate that we really haven't had much local representation in Ottawa in the past little bit. Saskatchewan has been represented by Conservatives, so we've heard one voice. We need to have multiple voices. I think we want to know what would happen with education and what would happen with healthcare. I dare say that if we only have a Conservative voice in Ottawa, the answer will be that a pipeline will solve healthcare and that a pipeline will solve education. Well, you can't just cover everything in oil and expect it to come out clean in the end. We need to have other voices that we can have other priorities put forward. We can't be always hearing about bills that need to be repealed so that we can finally move forward. We're very good at pumping oil out of the ground. We're very good at digging out potash. We're very good at digging up uranium. We've done that for as long as it's been a province. Let's move forward with other voices, please.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Steinle, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I believe the question is about representation in Ottawa, and I'm very proud of what we've done and we're able to accomplish. We actually, I'm the first opposition member in history to get a constitutional amendment passed in the House of Commons. We had a whole day with the Saskatchewan team talking about how there's a potential of a rail company suing the government of Saskatchewan for $261 million. We put a motion forward in the House of Commons. That same motion was passed at the Saskatchewan legislature. It passed unanimously in the House of Commons. It passed unanimously in the Senate. My name's on that motion. That day we saved the taxpayers of Saskatchewan $261 million. And I'm very proud we were able to do that. We were able to do that as a Saskatchewan team.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. Mr. Hurd, you have 1 minute.
Well, I learned what it would be to be a local member of Parliament from watching Ralph Goodale do it. He did that across Regina for over 25 years. That means being present in the community, being available to discuss with my constituents any issue that they have, not just the ones that I want to talk about, any issue that they have, and running a constituency office that is also present and able to meet with people. It really is important for us to have diverse voices from here in Saskatchewan in Ottawa, and I would say around the government table making those decisions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hurd. All right, well, we are going to move on to candidate questions. Each candidate will be given 20 seconds to ask a question to whomever they choose. The candidate that has asked the question will have 40 seconds to respond. So that's 20 seconds to ask, 40 seconds to respond. The first candidate question will go to you, Mr. Aldinger.
Thank you. My question will be directed at Mr. Steinle. The question goes as such. Why did you personally vote against dental care and farmer care?
Mr. Steinle.
Well, first of all, there isn't pharmacare. It covers diabetes and contraceptives. It's not a massive program. And secondly, dental care, people have talked to dentists across Saskatchewan. If you listen to dentists, not very many of them signed up to do the dental care because it tied their hands, and if they wanted to give a patient a certain procedure, they would not be able to do it under the dental care program. I believe in providing for those that are less vulnerable and don't have that coverage, but some people actually got less coverage if they didn't have the dental care that they wanted. So I've listened to dentists, I've listened to people across the province. Some people even have better health coverage than they do from pharmacare. So the one-payer system was a concern of mine and of people across the province.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. The next candidate question will go to you, Mr. Wright. You have 20 seconds to ask your question to whomever.
Yeah, I'd like to ask it to Mr. Hurd, if that's all right.
All right.
So, Mr. Hurd, the last 5 years we've had a shocking lack of representation in Ottawa. We've had candidates voting against transgender rights. We've had our member of parliament has done all kinds of unconscionable things. We've had them meet with the convoy people that are traitorous to us.
Please ask your question,
What would you
Mr.
have
Hurd.
done differently if you had been? Would you have done those things?
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Well, I would say I pretty much would do a lot of things very differently, including not meeting with a number of protesters who flew Trump flags at the time. I would stand up for the rights of all people, including the right to choose, and for the trans community.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Mr. Steinle, it is your turn to ask a question. You have 20 seconds.
Yeah, instead of being personally attacking, I'll actually ask Mac a question about policy. I learned about the policy, a government option to build homes. Is that costed? I'm just wondering how much that would cost taxpayers, because the government built a pipeline and it was hundreds of % over. It cost $40 billion for the government to build a pipeline. I'm wondering what the home building portion of the government would be.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. To you, Mr. Hurd.
Yeah, it is costed. There is a small cost to the taxpayers, but most and all of the vast majority of the cost is recouped by the government as they sell the home. So they would sell it at no profit, and so it would still be a home that is sold ultimately. And so the reason that there is a Crown Corporation there is so that it can be procuring lumber and steel and concrete for homes en masse, so that we can keep the cost low and don't need to charge exorbitant rates for that.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. This question now goes to you. If you would like to ask a question, you have 20 seconds.
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Steinle. You're the Associate Shadow Minister for Agriculture, and yet I noticed that there was not a single mention of the agriculture sector in your party's platform that was released today. I'm just wondering how that might happen for us here in Saskatchewan.
Mr. Steinle.
We're proud of our agriculture sector. We talk about agriculture each and every day in the House of Commons. I work well with John Barlow, the Shadow Minister for Agriculture. We've been champions. We've talked to many people what they like to see in agriculture. Over the last 10 years, agriculture has been the embarrassing cousin for the Liberal Party. The Agriculture Minister sits at the kids' table with Liberals. We have not got many trade deals done. And if we have the honored form of government, we see agriculture as the solution for many of our problems. When it comes to the environment, when it comes to the economy, we'll build an agriculture sector that we continue to be proud of. It's a world-class sector, and I will stand up for it each and every day. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. And to you, Mr. Zizor, ask your candidate question. You have 20 seconds.
Okay, my question is to the incumbent here. The question is, what have you done differently in the past 4 years that you've been in Parliament, from the Liberal government that took us to where we are right now?
So we've made lots of changes and passed some good legislation. For example, on natural health products, we've stood up and thought those changes were terrible. I've heard time and time again from people across Regina Lewvan that the new regulations on natural health care products are make it impossible for them to get the products that help them in their day-to-day lives. We put a private members bill forward. They got gutted by the NDP and the Liberal at committee, so it didn't move forward. We stood up for front of package labeling. We stood up for fertilizer reduction targets. We stood up for the fact that oil and gas caps want to be put in place by the Liberal governments. So a lot of things that we've been fighting for are very important. And each of them, every day, we said we'd axe the carbon tax on everyone forever on everything. And that's the commitment we'll make if we have the honor for
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. All right, well, we will go back to our questions. The next one, we're going to talk about growing populations. And this question has been recorded in advance by Chris Goulet of the Saskatchewan Realtors Association. Let's have a listen.
Saskatchewan continues to set new population records, now eclipsing 1.25 million residents. This is welcomed growth, especially when we consider the growing shortage of skilled labor, not only in our province, but across the country. It's also important to note that we have an acute housing shortage. So how would your government mesh those two competing demands to ensure that we can continue welcoming growth in Saskatchewan and our country?
All right, well, this first question will go to you, Mr. Wright. You have 1 minute.
Okay, well, it seems like the topic of the evening is housing. We've had so many questions on this. How does it mesh with immigration? Well, let me first say immigration is very important to me. My child's mother is an immigrant. So like we need to make sure it's like a safe country for immigrants. So no part of this discussion should be about telling immigrants they're not welcome. No, we want to have a welcoming community with housing for everybody. So I guess it's important that we just increase the supply. Lots of people that come to this country are exploited when they arrive, exploited by landlords, sometimes exploited by employers that will kind of do double duty, landlord, employer, not give people the respect they're due. So I think just by having the construction, if we can align the needs that we have in construction with our immigration sector, that would be wonderful, of course. But I mean, I don't think that the two are necessarily related. We would have a housing shortage regardless of our immigration levels.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. To you, Mr. Steinle, you have 1 minute.
Yes, well, I've answered the question a couple times. We all have, but we do have to commit to building 2.3 million new homes, and we're going to do that by taking the GST off of home builds and by ensuring municipalities reduce the red tape and the regulations to ensure that they can get houses built. That should bring housing down. That should be about $100,000 off the cost of housing. We'll reimburse up to 50% of the fees that may be changed by the municipalities, and incentivize the municipalities by giving them more money if they exceed targets. There's a 15% target for new builds. If they exceed that, they should be rewarded for their good work. If they don't get to that target, the same thing should happen. There should be permits put in place that ensure that housing can build faster, and that's something we need. And we do need to ensure that the young people in our country feel like the home ownership is within reach, because that's the Canada I want to live in.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. To you, Mr. Hurd, you have 1 minute.
Well, it's important that overall, I believe that immigration is a net benefit to our country. It always has been, and I think it always will be. Immigration levels have come down over the last number of months, and we do in the future need to make sure that we are matching up immigration levels with the pace at which we are building housing and providing social services and growing our economy. I will just take a second to continue to pitch the Liberal Housing Plan, which will build 500,000 new homes every year, and most importantly, will do so through a new Crown Corporation Build Canada Homes, which will get the government back into the business of building homes.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Mr. Azizor, you have 1 minute.
Well, I think it's a very simple solution. The demand is a demand and supply thing. You have more when you have the infrastructure is not able to handle the number of people that are coming into the country at the same time. As an immigrant, the People's Party supports immigration, but what we're saying is that we need to reduce the levels of immigration so that our housing, our infrastructure, and everything else can catch up. Bringing in too many people at the same time, it's not helpful to the people that are coming and also to the people that are in this country. So that is part of the reason the People's Party is going to reduce significantly the levels of immigration so that our facility and infrastructure can catch up. The Conservative Party and the Liberal Party don't want to hit on this issue. The core root or cause of this mass housing crisis is from having too many immigrants like myself coming in without being prepared to handle it. That's the fact, that's the truth. We will reduce the levels, so we can catch up with our infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Azizor. All right, Mr. Aldinger, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Immigration is extremely important to help grow a nation and continue it to grow.
Well, it was like a recruiting.
One of the points that I referenced earlier about the housing was that we'll stop big corporation landlords from buying up affordable homes and giving nonprofits more funding to build homes to keep them affordable. So the housing issue is something that goes hand in hand for everyone, and that also includes Indigenous people and the senior citizens that live in this province. All areas that need to be addressed along with immigration to help with the housing crisis that we're currently in right now. And we'll launch a massive housing building program to help create jobs and keep our economy going and make sure that people find homes that they can afford. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Aldinger. We are on our last question. Can you believe it? The question is on agriculture for Canada's growth. And our next question has been recorded in advance by Chris Prosick of Agricultural Producers of Saskatchewan. Let's have a listen.
In the APAS Federal Election Priorities document called Unleashing Agriculture for Canada's Growth, we highlight how recent changes in global trading relationships have raised urgent questions about whether Canada's transportation system is able to provide timely, cost-effective market access for agriculture and other export-dependent sectors. What specific commitments will your party make to invest in and modernize Canada's rail, road, and port infrastructure to improve the competitiveness of our agriculture sector and other export-dependent industries?
Well, this first question will go to you, Mr. Steinle. You have 1 minute.
Absolutely, it's a great question. I meet with APAS often, and we do need to upgrade our infrastructure. And one thing that we have talked about is if you get some oil off of the railways, they have more opportunities to ship canola, wheat, barley, durum. And that's one thing when we talked about an east-west pipeline and making sure we get some oil off of railways. It's safer, more reliable, and then we can use railway for what it's meant to, and that's to ship our goods from Saskatchewan to the port of BC, out in BC.
Yeah, I can kind of hear you. You're a lot more quiet than you.
We need to put money into infrastructure. And I just want to add, when we're talking about agriculture, the Conservative government will pass a Farmland Protection Act to stop foreign governments and corporations from buying up Canadian farmland and to ensure that farmland stays in Canadian ownership.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. To you, Mr. Hurd, you have 1 minute.
Well, great question. Mr. Carney has proposed a $5 billion fund called the Trade Diversification Corridors Fund, which is explicitly for this purpose, explicitly for investing in railways, ports, port infrastructure around the railways for things like co-manufacturing and so on that will really enable us to get all of our goods to market. I should also say, since we're on agriculture, there are a number of platform commitments that Mr. Carney has laid out. The one that I'm most excited about in agriculture is a new $200 million domestic food processing fund, which is exactly for the types of value-added manufacturing that we need in our agriculture sector here in Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. To you, Mr. Azizor, you have 1 minute.
So we can't invest in infrastructure if we don't have the money, and there's a lot of wasteful spending in Ottawa. So we're going to cut the spending, balance the budgets. We have the money, and when we have the money, cut off all the red tapes, build pipelines. We had like 3 pipelines that in the last 10 years that we couldn't build. That has kept this because our strategic strength is the natural resources. So how do we get out going? So building an infrastructure, even for the agriculture sector, we need the money to do that. So we're going to have to cut off, stop the spending, stop the bleeding, the wasteful bleeding by the past Liberal government, supported by the Conservative government, and come to common sense policy, take away the deficit, have more money available, then we can build up infrastructure. And alongside work with partners that will, again, reduce the red tapes, all the regulatory bottlenecks, so we can get our infrastructure going and be modernized so that the agriculture sector can boom.
Thank you, Mr. Azizor. To you, Mr. Aldinger, 1 minute.
Thank you. I, along with Jagmeet, have spent most of my life standing up to bullies. We will never sell out our water or our health care. We will stand up for workers, not investors. We all agree that Canada needs to be solid. And we've been neglected when it comes to our services, our infrastructure for many years, not only under the Liberal government, but also under the previous Conservative government. Resources have been basically given away in regards to royalties being collected as other nations in the world collect appropriate levels to make sure that they're able to fund their infrastructure and make sure that the highways are in good shape, the bridges are in good shape, the rail lines, to make sure that we're able to offset that cost and not have the taxpayers be paying for that. One of my other concerns, of course, is this: a Build Canadian, Buy Canadian plan to build the infrastructure we need, homes, highways, healthcare, using Canadian-made resources to build what our communities need. Keep people working and stimulate the economy at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. Aldinger. And to you, Mr. Wright, you have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. If you wanted a political party that was going to advocate for building more trains, you came to the right place. The Green Party has been advocating this for a while. Now, in Saskatchewan, like I mentioned, we're kind of dependent on the train. There's a point somewhere in the southeast of the province where you're about equal distance from like the Port of Thunder Bay in Ontario to the point to the Port of Vancouver. So we definitely need some help on this. Our train system is as old as the country. We don't deserve that. We deserve better than that. We're not going to solve our train problem by investing in different infrastructure. It needs to be in the rail system itself. We've had branch line abandonment since before I was born, practically. So we need to start reversing that. We need to go the other way. We're the only country where the federal government doesn't take a kind of an integrated interest in our transportation network overall, rail to road to port.
Thank you,
without
Mr.
that,
Wright.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to our closing comments, and it is in reverse order of our opening comments. So our first closing comment will go to you, Mr. Steinle. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. After the last Liberal decade, costs and crime have skyrocketed. Families are paying $10,000 more in tax than they did before the Liberals were first elected. Groceries cost $800 more than they did last year, and will go up another $400 under Mark Carney's food tax. Violent crime has increased by 50%, and our once safe towns and cities are suffering from chaos and disorder. The Conservatives have a real plan for change, a plan to axe the tax, build the homes, stop the crime, and fix the budget. Vote Canada First for a change. I humbly ask for your support on April 28th. Please vote for Warren Steinle. I will always be on Saskatchewan's side.
Thank you, Mr. Steinle. And to you, Mr. Hurd, you have 1 minute for closing comments.
Well, thank you so much for watching tonight. I want to take this opportunity to speak directly to those of you who are still undecided, perhaps even those of you who typically vote New Democrat or Green. I genuinely believe that we share the same core values: fairness, compassion, strong public health care, affordable housing, reconciliation, which we didn't get a chance to speak about here today, and a future where no one is left behind. I won't pretend that we agree on everything, but I believe we're fighting for the same things. And the only credible independent polling shows that in this riding in Regina Lewvan, the race is between me and the Conservatives. With so much at stake, I'm asking you to consider lending me your vote. This time, in this election, not because we agree on every issue, but because we believe in the same fight. This is a once-in-a-decade chance to elect a member of Parliament that will stand up to the politics of division and protect what we value most: a strong Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Mr. Azizor, you have 1 minute for closing comments.
So I just want to appeal to everyone to look at the People's Party. We are the party that is saying exactly what Canadians are saying. It's a party that truly wants to serve you. We've had the Conservative and the Liberal, and where are we at today? So please look at the People's Party, the party that is exactly, that has real practical solution to the problems, to the issues that we're dealing with currently in this country. I'm running because I believe that Canada needs truth, not talk, not promises, empty promises. We'll do this, we'll do that, and all that. I think Canadians are tired of that. We want real concrete solutions. And the People's Party is the party that has the real solution to the problems that we're dealing with right now. The issues of housing, crime, cost of living, and everything else. So please check the People's Party of Canada, and you'll see more of our platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Azizor. To you, Mr. Aldinger, you have 1 minute for closing comments.
Today you've heard from all of us, but it's your turn to decide what kind of future you want. I believe that politics should be about people and not about power, and not just for the wealthy, but for everyone. While others talk about the status quo, we are fighting for change, for affordability, housing, for climate action that creates jobs, for truly universal health care, and for a future where no one is left behind. The challenges we face are big, but so is our hope, our courage, and our resolve. The NDP has always stood with working people, seniors, young people, the Indigenous people of Canada, along with those voices that are often ignored. Thank you, and miigwech.
Thank you, Mr. Aldinger. And to you, Mr. Wright, you have 1 minute for closing comments.
Thank you. So, if you've been watching at home, you've just spent an hour listening to all of us. And thank you very much. You're the type of person this country needs. If everybody, like you person at home that's been watching, were to get out and vote, can you imagine the result that we would have? Can you imagine the type of nation that would be developed through that type of citizenship building? So rather than, ask you to please vote for me, please vote for me. But beyond that, I'm going to ask you to talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to your kids, talk to your family members, talk to coworkers if you're brave enough. Talk to who you can about voting and talk about principles. Talk about what you care about, what you want to see happening in this country. And if you're brave enough to do it, and when we're done voting, keep talking about it, and we'll have the country that we deserve.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. I want to thank you, big thank you to all our candidates for your passion and being part of the democratic process. Democracy is a wonderful privilege, and we all hope that you and our viewers of Access exercise that freedom by casting a ballot on April 28th. Our first debate of the evening has come to an end. Our second debate will begin at 8:30 p.m. and be for the riding of Regina Quapel. While we get ready for that, Kyle Addison is standing by with Stu Niebergall, Chris Garrett, and Dion McGrath to break down what we just heard from Regina Lewvan debate. Kyle, over to you.
Thank you very much, Lisa, and thank you to everybody who's joining us this evening to listen to us talk about the debate and how things went. My name is Kyle Addison. I'm the past chair of the Regina District Chamber of Commerce, and with me is an expert panel of policy opinions throughout the province. We have Stu Niebergall, who's the CEO of the Regina Home Builders Association. Chris Garrett, who's the CEO of the Saskatchewan Realtors Association, and Dion McGrath, who is the Executive Director of the Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. So I think it'd be great to start just off by each of you explaining your organizations, who you are, what you do for the community, and we'll kind of get into the deep dive from there.
Yeah. Well, the Saskatchewan Realtors Association, we're the voice of almost 1,800 realtors in the province. So they either trade in residential, commercial, or farm. They can be anywhere in Saskatchewan. And we also service 200 business partners. So any kind of business that is in the business of real estate, but not necessarily in trading. And so we serve all of our members through education, advocacy, a number of services, and we've been around for almost 100 years.
Awesome. And the Regina Region Home Builders Association, we are the representative of the residential construction industry here in the greater Regina area. We focus again, like the Realtors Association, a lot of our time on advocacy for the industry. So we really pay attention to a lot of, federal, provincial and municipal policies, both on the land development side and on the residential construction side, and which includes, the home building side as well.
And the Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan is a farmer-led organization that represents between 15 and 20,000 Saskatchewan farmers. We're a policy and advocacy organization that focuses on ag policy 100% of the time, federal and provincial, advocating for the interests of Saskatchewan farm and ranch families.
Right on. Well, again, thank you for coming out this evening. I know that there's a high-stakes hockey game tonight. It's NHL playoffs, so much appreciated. And thank you to all the viewers who are joining us instead of that said hockey game. We do appreciate that. So each of you are leading a membership-based organization. Can we start by talking about what it is your members are looking for out of this election, out of this federal election?
I'll jump in because I think it's a very obvious one for us. We've been talking about this for a number of years. We are in a housing shortage crisis at this point. So our members absolutely need to see more inventory so that they can serve their clients more. And what's really interesting in Saskatchewan is, despite us talking about, inventory shortages, over the past 2 months, we were now talking about tariffs. So I was fully expecting for our market stats in the month of March to see a cooling impact from those talks. And in Saskatchewan, it's almost like the tariffs are not happening in the real estate market. We really saw no difference in March. I foresee seeing no difference in April. And I think that's because, one, our market is very resilient, but two, we're a very affordable place. And so when you're taking a look at the rest of the markets across the country, the markets that tend to be more affordable are kind of weathering that storm, that tariff storm, if you will. And so, point of all that, I'm sharing that because inventory is still 100% a very large challenge in Saskatchewan. So any kind of policy that will either incentivize more inventory or remove that red tape and those fees to ensure that we can help builders build homes faster and more.
That's a very good point. I'm actually personally looking at buying a new home myself, and I'm not having much luck. So maybe that means I need to build a house.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our members, again, have very close alignment to what Chris is saying. I mean, ultimately, our industry is the manufacturer or the creator of that inventory that Chris's stakeholders, require, and as our community and citizens and nation needs within the country. So we're, of course, both nationally, provincially, and locally, really paying a lot of close attention to the policy decisions that are happening here. And, I think one of the things in this particular election that, the media has kind of captured, reasonably well is how similar so much of the public policy platforms are related to housing amongst the parties, but those nuances between those actually really matter. And, so again, these are the things that we're paying very close attention to in this election.
Great, thanks, Stu. Yeah.
For our members and farmers across the province, over the recent months, trade and tariffs have really dominated the conversations across the board. Going into the election cycle, the carbon tax was top of mind for our members. We've had some pretty good successful wins in the recent weeks on the carbon tax and its impact on agricultural producers and what they have to pay or don't pay anymore. One of those big wins was the reduction of the rail carbon surcharge that was set to cost Saskatchewan farmers around $80 million this year. The railways to set that to zero to follow suit with the federal government. But now the trade and tariff issue is top of mind because everything or most of the 95% of the things we produce here in agriculture are exported. And our two largest trading partners are having a little battle that's really causing a lot of headaches and consternation amongst farmers across the province. Canola producers with the tariffs that China has imposed and pork producers with the China tariffs. And the terrible uncertainty that the states are causing with their changing directions constantly on what's going to be tariffed and what's not going to be tariffed creates headaches for producers in their rotations, their planting decisions, their marketing decisions. So getting more certainty in the trade environment, but leading that into what we can do in Canada to improve our trade environment with more investment into the trade infrastructure to get our products more efficiently and effectively to other international destinations is a huge opportunity that the ag sector is really strongly pushing for.
Great points. Great points. So what I'm hearing is housing is a massive issue across the nation, not just in Saskatchewan, but across the nation, as well as trade and tariffs. If I may, I think we might start with housing. Yeah. We do have the Liberal leader who has brought forth a policy to have a new Crown corporation where the new housing units, if you will be owned by the Crown. And we have a opposition leader whose idea is for the new housing to be driven by the private sector. I'm just wondering, do either of you have a perspective as to which direction is better, which policy would be more suited for Saskatchewan and for Canada as a whole?
Well, this is a very tricky one, and one can appreciate with the housing challenges that we're having and, the federal government's interest in being more engaged, in this subject matter, that they would come to the conclusion that the government getting back into the home building business and using an example of their catalog, that they've brought back with CMHC, that those seem like kind of natural conclusions. I think the risk for the government on those type of policy components is, once you move past the theory into the practicality of the day-to-day, governments don't necessarily always have the how can I say this, the aren't perceived as being the most efficient, within the, I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say that, within the marketplace and their ability to deliver on it. And so, a very bureaucratic process cannot be more efficient than, what the private sector is going to do. And I think the other, challenge within their idea, you have to remember in the government's success back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s in this area, the world was very different. So, as an example, the word urban sprawl really wasn't even a word that, existed in our language really at that time, other than some urban planning, academics. And, now, and so why that's important is, for the government to get into the business of having a simple catalog like they did in the 50s, to take raw farmland, lay down the infrastructure that they are funding at that particular time and get homes built fast. We are in a very, very different environment in 2025 than then. And, to deliver on that is exceptionally more complex than it was back in those years. And, it's not really getting at the, the core issue, for what makes it challenging to deliver housing. And that is actually the funding and the cost of infrastructure to service this, to service all the housing. That is where a tremendous amount of the expense is. And that's probably where, the federal government parties are probably missing the mark on.
Can I add to that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I agree with all of that, Stu. And I think we forget that we have a number of entrepreneurs, businesses across the country, so including Saskatchewan, home builders and land developers who have given to this province and to our municipalities for decades, are very proud business owners that contribute to the growth of this province. And to have a government coming in, and I'll be critical here, but to say that, well, we can do it better, so we will do it. And I don't believe the argument of creating more jobs, because either the government's going to, build the houses, or the private sector is. The jobs are still going to be created. And we have some experts on the ground who know very well how to build very good homes and how to work with specific partners. And so it's a little bit rich for me to see a government coming in to say, we will do it better. And we will do it more effectively. I don't think the argument is there. And I do think it's a little bit insulting for the very wide array of businesses in that field who do their job very well and are very proud of it. And so that's a little piece for me that it's a hard pill to swallow for me. And I'm sure, and I'm not, an entrepreneur in that field. And so I'm sure, I'm wondering what a number of those businesses are thinking right now.
Great points. Dion, I'm sure you have something to say about this. You brought up red tape and government intervention just a couple minutes ago. What are your thoughts?
I don't have anything to contribute on the housing file, but I will say red tape in agriculture causes a lot of pain and anxiety in a lot of the federal agencies that agriculture has to rely on. The red tape that the bureaucracy goes through when our competing nations have already reviewed and assessed and approved, whether it's seed, whether it's chemicals, and we've got to repeat all of that work here in Canada instead of acknowledging the work that has already been done, whether it's in the States or the European Union, and simply fast-tracking it to get it to market so that producers have more access, easier access, simpler access to get what they need to do what they do. Mm-hmm. So red tape is a huge issue in agriculture as well.
Not good. And Dion, if we could stay with you just for a quick second. I come from a small town called Lemberg and grew up on a grain farm, and I've heard a lot from my family about the impact of these canola tariffs. I'm just wondering if you can help our audience understand what kind of a detriment this leads to our province.
Well, the uncertainty with the United States, because a lot of canola oil and canola meal head south, it's whether or not tariffs are going to be applied to a lot of that, to that product. Because if it is, that's going to have a negative impact on canola pricing that happens here for our producers. The tariffs that China has imposed has had an impact. Prices have rebounded and stabilized somewhat. but the uncertainty lingers because these tariffs are in place. And until tariffs and trade start to stabilize, the uncertainty that affects the commodities that are produced here in Saskatchewan is going to stay as well. And I'll add this. Free trade and trade by trade rules has produced tremendous prosperity for those countries that have participated in these agreements. What is happening now is disrupting the wealth that these trade agreements have produced for nations, for communities, for individuals. So this is why this hurts, because this uncertainty is going to detract from wealth generation. And that uncertainty does not create wealth. It's going to be much harder for farmers to create their wealth because they've got to speculate, and the uncertainty of what's going to happen 6 months down the road is anyone's guess. And when you're making your plans on the farm, you're making your 12-month plans or 2-year plans or 5-year plans. So this trade uncertainty, that canola tariffs, pork tariffs detract from what the free trade agreements that we've entered with various countries around the world have produced for us over the last 25 years.
Absolutely. So we've discussed housing, which is a major issue. We've discussed trade and tariffs, which are major issues, and both rightfully so. What do you guys think the ballot box question is for this federal election across the nation? And does that change at all with respect to our home province and the Regina district area?
Well, I think there's going to be 2 questions, and it's shifted recently. I think if you're older generation, you have housing security in the sense that you've been in your home, you're a homeowner, you've been in your home for a very long time, you have a large investment there. I don't think you're going to see the affordability or housing crunch as big of an issue as the uncertainty that tariffs and Trump are causing right now. The secondary piece is if you're not in the housing situation you want to be in right now, you're probably going to be thinking of the housing piece and the affordability piece more. So I think those 2 pieces are going to be the ballot box issues, and they're going to look at the party and the leader that can deal internationally with other elected officials, or look internally and finally bring a resolution to housing and to affordability. What does that mean for Saskatchewan? I think for us, we know that even though we're the most affordable province in the country, that still falls pretty flat for most people who are still struggling. So it's still an issue, despite us being very affordable and competitive. That reality will stay the same for Saskatchewan.
Interesting.
I would agree again with what Chris has suggested there, and I would just say adding to that, I mean, with the federal government, whoever takes office here, I mean, when it comes to the housing file, on those 2 ballot questions, they really have to think about what their role is in this, related to housing. And, from my perspective, the biggest role the federal government takes is deciding which of us get to be homeowners and which of us get to be renters for the rest of our life. And it's a responsibility that, they really haven't, for a very long period of time. They're getting involved in other aspects of the housing sector, sometimes stepping into provincial boundaries, and sometimes in municipal boundaries. Yeah. Yes. And, where the reality is, through mortgage rules, again, that's the deciding factor. So, we've got a lot of very good qualified people, who should be able to qualify to be into home ownership. And, they've spent the last, easily a decade really locked into rental. And, I think where that relates to, the trade side, obviously our industry, uses materials from all over the world, a lot from the U.S., Not to the same degree as agriculture, but there certainly is an impact on the tariffs on our sector as well. And again, from our perspective, the government should be using its internal levers as best as it can do, to solve the economic challenges related to this and mitigate those challenges as best as possible. Because if we have a strong and healthy economy, it allows many of the other items, on the federal level to actually be addressed. But if we have a weak economy as a result of all of this, solving a lot of those other social issues just become that much more significantly harder.
It's almost as if one of the federal leaders is trying to scare us into a box and minimize our individual agency, and another one of the federal leaders is trying to create optimism and hope and allow us to come out of our box and create agency within ourselves. Is that fair to say?
See, I would say the question the leaders need to ask themselves is, do they want to be in a position where they're allowing as many Canadians as possible to build their own wealth for themselves and for their families? And for most Canadians, they do that through home ownership. That's just the reality. So when you're taking a look at rental or home ownership, the real question is, are you going to help people build wealth for their family, intergenerational wealth? Which is a big question, right? It's not just a luxury. It is within reach, but are governments willing to go there? I mean, it's 5 years ago when CMHC was actually promoting rental over home ownership. That was a thing 5 years ago. And so what that means is you had a government that was saying, no, don't worry about investing in yourself and your family and the next generation. Just stay in rental. It's easier for you. I think that's concerning. That's very concerning. So I think at the core of it all is our government's going to help the everyday Canadian, the middle class, if you will, build wealth for the future generation.
Absolutely, great point. Dion, I apologize I cut you off there.
I just want to add to that because Chris made some very salient points. What concerns me and producers across the province is because of the uncertainty in the trade arena. That's going to create uncertainty in the markets. That's going to take away wealth from everyone that's working so dang hard to build it. That's going to create inflationary pressures. That's going to increase interest rates. That's going to make home ownership harder. Need to deal with the uncertainty of trade and what's going on in order to tap some of this stuff down as best we can. And from an agricultural perspective, that's very clear. But for everyone else, it's a must because it's going to impact everyone, whether it's in your investments that you hold, the houses that you want to buy, the car you want to buy. It's going to hurt. And we've just come through a period of hurt post-COVID. We didn't like it very much. Food prices shot up. We didn't like that. Interest rates shot up. No one liked that. It made everything harder for everybody. So getting this, protecting our economy against the harm that could come as a result of this uncertainty is paramount.
Absolutely.
Well said.
And I think where that comes back to the voter, my worry in this election, and maybe again it's because so much of the platforms have so much similarity to them, but quite frankly lack detail, right, for us to separate that. I think the term that's been used that this will be the vibe election, which has more to do with personality than policy. And I know in the conversations we have with friends and family related to this, I encourage everybody, worry a little less about the personality and take the time to understand the public policy aspects of it and make your decisions related to who you think that's going to best align with.
That's really well said, because I heard somebody else say this is a very emotional election. People are basing their choices more this election on emotions, uncertainty, a lot more, and that's excellent feedback. do the effort, dive into those policies.
Absolutely. I was just talking to my friend group today, my nerd friend group, my political friend group that everybody I'm sure has. And we were talking about at what point does policy trump politics, and at what point does policy trump emotion? And not to throw Trump in there. That's probably a bad use of verbiage.
It's so hard to find a different word.
It is, yes.
It's such a good word.
I swear he picked it just for, anyways. And at what point does policy matter more than likability, than personality? Right. My argument was, well, it's number one. Policy needs to be number one. We don't need to necessarily have a likable leader to be a better nation, to be a better province, in order to function as a society. But on the other hand, how long are you going to be around if you're not a likable person? So.
Well, and I think a really good example of that, I think, the one thing that came up in tonight's debate a little bit, and just very slightly touched on, is that we need to diversify our trade across the country. Of course, that naturally turns into a discussion about pipeline. It seems like most parties agree that, we need some sort of national pipeline. What I can't see in anybody's platform is how any party is going to actually deliver on that, right? And that, again, are those missed opportunities. So my hope is whoever does become the next prime minister and who becomes the next party to govern our country, that they will be able to move, very quickly to be able to start to deliver on these type of commitments.
It's probably what should be the ballot issue is that energy corridor. What are those energy policies? It doesn't seem to touch the everyday voter as much, but you could argue that that's the single biggest piece that is really going to help our economy.
And there's one thing that all this uncertainty has really brought into focus. Internal trade barriers that we've self-inflicted on ourselves for decades. Now they're finally talking about how we can smooth that right out and eliminate that. That is a positive step, but the action to follow is really what we need to see.
Absolutely.
So that's probably a lot harder to do than it is just to promise to eliminate those.
It is. Well, and all the internal trade barriers are protectionist measures for businesses in a jurisdiction.
Yes.
That's all they're there to do is to protect. And maybe in a different time that was the right policy choice and tool to use. But this conversation has shifted now because of what's happening south of the border, and that's forcing us to have these difficult but needed conversations.
And competition makes us better in the end. It can be scary, but it 100% makes us better.
Yes, 100% it does. Speaking of competition and more regional activity, let's bring it back to a local level where we had Ray Aldinger with the NDP, Godwin Isizer with the People's Party of Canada, Mac Hurd with the Liberal Party of Canada, and Warren Stanley with the Conservative Party of Canada tonight. How does everybody feel that they did? Did they tackle the issues that Regina and Saskatchewan residents need to be advocated for on behalf of them? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think they all did actually quite a good job in representing their party's position, right? Again, in a debate like this, it does limit, how far they can delve deep into those policy discussions. So that would have been good to hear, a little bit more related to that. But at the very same time, I think for me, I walked away having a little bit more of an understanding of what was important to each candidate in their answers.
Yeah, I think for me, it was very clear that all candidates there are there for the right reasons. They deeply care about their city, their province, their country. That came across. They all did their homework. They didn't have to rely on any notes. We were just talking about that, the difference between elections sometimes. So the passion was definitely there. And you could see the expertise come through with certain candidates. Obviously, the Conservative candidate, has the upper hand because he's been serving this constituency for 5 years. But I thought they all did well. And kudos to the Chamber and Access Communications for putting this on, because we were just saying the only time you really have the opportunity to talk with your local candidate is if you're home when they're door knocking, which doesn't happen a lot, right? Or these opportunities. So it's good.
I would agree with what Stu and Chris have said. You know, they're all the candidates. You got to tip your hat for anyone who runs for public office. It's putting yourself out there to improve your community. But they all did. You know, from an agriculture perspective, I think a little bit of disappointment. There wasn't much agriculture talked about tonight. And being in Saskatchewan, where it's one of the driving sectors of our economic success for our organization, clearly we're pushing the ag file every chance we get. We push it with every political party because good policy goes beyond a political stripe. And our job is to convince the elected officials what good policy looks like for Saskatchewan farm and ranch families, and to get them on side to whoever forms government to start implementing some of the ideas that come out of our membership to improve the environment for families across the province.
Great points, and I think we have two more debates coming up. We have one shortly after this conversation. And then we have another one tomorrow, and I think that all the candidates from those respective electoral districts will probably, hopefully, listen to us this evening and maybe adapt some of their verbiage to include agriculture and more so some housing. I think that'd be great. Speaking of upcoming debates, we have Regina Quapel, which I think is going to be a highly anticipated one. We have Dion Feller with the People's Party of Canada, Rahima Mian with the Liberal Party of Canada, Chris Simi with the New Democratic Party, and we have Andrew Scheer with the Conservative Party of Canada. Of course, we all know Andrew Scheer. He's been the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. He was the Conservative Party leader running against Justin Trudeau, actually, in the last federal election, which is very interesting. So we probably haven't seen him debate anybody since five years ago-ish. So how does everybody feel that's going to go?
Wow, talk about, a heavyweight, in terms of experience, and a parliamentarian, really having that discussion with, for the most part, I believe everybody would be a brand new candidate. So, if I was one of those other candidates, I'd feel like I was climbing in the ring a little bit with, I don't know, Muhammad Ali, or hoping to get a lucky punch.
Yeah, it was actually funny. Speaking of Andrew, I saw him. I ran into him last week in Ottawa at a conference, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw him talking to some individuals at the conference, and then I saw more individuals get in line and more get in line, and all of a sudden he has a line halfway across the room of individuals looking to talk to him. And this is a political conference, of course, but I kind of in my mind equated it to him being like a Taylor Swift, but for nerds.
I hope he's watching right now.
And I might have brought that up to him. He might have been complimentary of it. He might have thought it was okay to say, but maybe not, actually. Let's maybe move past that. But I think it's going to be a great debate. It's going to be very fun. Does anybody have any closing comments that they'd like to make before we head into the Regina Quapel riding?
Looking forward to this next debate. You really set that one up. I'm excited to watch it now.
Me too. Great. Well, thanks again for joining us. We have Stu with the Regina Home Builders Association, Chris with the Saskatchewan Realtors Association, and Dion with APAS, the Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan. Thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch us. Thank you for those who watched us at the last debate and those who are going to stick with us and not move on to hockey for the next debate. We really appreciate your support. And on behalf of the Regina District Chamber of Commerce and Access Communications, thank you very much for tuning in.
It's pure genius. Automatically optimizing the signal in every room of your home, so your Wi-Fi is always running at full throttle. Turbocharge your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Some homes just aren't made for strong Wi-Fi from backyard to basement. But with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus, just plug in a pod and cover every corner with wall-to-wall Wi-Fi. Give your Wi-Fi a boost with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the fun.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
Updating my software takes forever. Why can't I just skip it and do it later?
Outdated software can be vulnerable to security threats, which could compromise your personal information and device. Don't risk it. Update your software regularly to ensure it's equipped with the latest security features and bug fixes.
Users need to implement those updates as soon as possible, because not only is it new features, but they actually fix security vulnerabilities in the software.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Support your community, grow your business. Sponsor an AccessNow TV production and your company will get unprecedented primetime television coverage and a platform to connect with thousands of people every day. Your logo and your message on all major television networks. We have content that suits your brand, like broadcast sports, talk shows, live events, and everything in between, ensuring that your message will reach the right audience. Call me today to find out more.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. Visit myaccess.ca/TV Bingo.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus adds an extra layer of home security without using cameras by detecting motion through Wi-Fi signals. How smart is that? Plug in a pod and secure your home with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Kids grow up fast enough as it is. Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus puts you in control of their screen time and what they see on the net, even when you're not at home. Gain control of your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. With Access Internet, I know that I can rely on the service to operate our POS system and our 3D scanner. Access Internet gives us the reassurance that we're able to do proper fittings and takes a lot off my shoulders. I'm getting great service with Access Internet.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, sat sri akal.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM, Regina's community radio station.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
AccessNow TV is bringing Saskatchewan to you. Watch great local content, sports, community events, politics, entertainment, and everything in between. Find out more at accessnowtvapp.ca.
It's easy for me to remember passwords because I use the same one for everything. What's wrong with that?
Protecting your online accounts from cyber attacks starts with a strong password. Don't use easily guessable passwords and never reuse them across different accounts.
Creating and remembering passwords can be difficult, but password managers can generate complex passwords and store them for you securely.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Saskatchewan has one of the highest poverty rates in all of Canada. So our goal is to remove the financial and social barriers that children and youth from low-income families have to participating in arts and cultural activities. We also want them to be able to learn from knowledge keepers and elders about their cultural heritage. The Access Children's Fund will allow us to support up to 600 children across the province. Thank you to Access for helping us to help more children.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. This week's jackpot is $2,500 in 50 numbers or less.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. Why would you choose Access for your business? The experience I've had with Access technicians has been fantastic. They bring a certain personal touch to the game. The response time, the care sets them apart from all competition.
Every child deserves a chance. That's the dream behind the Access Communications Children's Fund, a registered charity that provides assistance to local organizations supporting children who are in need, at risk, or among the most vulnerable in our province. Since 1992, we've donated over $4.1 million to projects in Saskatchewan. If you know of a nonprofit or charitable organization in need of funding, visit myaccess.ca/children's fund.
Harbor Landing Village has a lot under one roof. We're a true community within a community. We have a full age-in-place senior care and living community, a child care center, award-winning restaurant, hair salon, and a home care agency. Reliable internet service from Access Communications is important to Harbor Landing Village because it's the main way our residents stay connected with their friends and family, and equally important as a business, essentially it's the backbone, it's what powers us.
Break free from traditional TV with Access Next TV Stream. Find all your live TV channels and streaming apps in one place. Watch live or recorded shows at home or on the go with the Next TV Stream app. Catch up on programs from the past 3 days, even if you forgot to set them to record.
There's the shot score!
And record and save your favorite shows in the cloud. Watch TV your way for as low as $9.95 a month with Access Next TV Stream. An Access Smart Home is a safer, more efficient home. With the touch of an app, you can see who's at the door, turn down the lights and turn up the heat, tell your furry friend to get off the couch, and sleep sound with around-the-clock home monitoring. Access Smart Home puts you in control. And of course, our famous customer service is always included. Make your home a smarter, safer, more efficient home. Learn more at myaccess.ca.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. The reason I love Access Security, it is user-friendly, easy to manage, and takes a lot off my shoulders. When I leave at the end of the day, I can relax knowing my building's protected.
It's really important that students get physical activity and have positive interactions one-on-one with each other. My name is Joel Dreger, and I'm the principal of Walter W. Brown School in Langham, Saskatchewan. One of the projects that we undertook was to build a new playground facility. We needed to raise about $100,000 for this playground. We just want to thank Access Communications Children's Fund for your generous donation. It really gave us a strong foundation to get our project off the ground.
Decision 2025. AccessNow TV and the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce bring you live debate coverage April 22nd and 23rd starting at 6 p.m. Watch it on AccessNow TV, the AccessNow TV app, or on our YouTube channel.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus is pure genius, automatically optimizing the signal in every room of your home so your Wi-Fi is always running at full throttle. Turbocharge your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Some homes just aren't made for strong Wi-Fi from backyard to basement. But with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus, just plug in a pod and cover every corner with wall-to-wall Wi-Fi. Give your Wi-Fi a boost with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the fun.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
Updating my software takes forever. Why can't I just skip it and do it later?
Outdated software can be vulnerable to security threats, which could compromise your personal information and device. Don't risk it. Update your software regularly to ensure it's equipped with the latest security features and bug fixes.
Users need to implement those updates as soon as possible, because not only is it new features, but they actually fix security vulnerabilities in the software.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Support your community, grow your business, sponsor an AccessNow TV production, and your company will get unprecedented primetime television coverage and a platform to connect with thousands of people every day. Your logo and your message on all major television networks. We have content that suits your brand, like broadcast sports, talk shows, live events, and everything in between, ensuring that your message will reach the right audience. Call me today to find out more.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. Visit myaccess.ca/TV Bingo.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus adds an extra layer of home security without using cameras by detecting motion through Wi-Fi signals. How smart is that? Plug in a pod and secure your home with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Kids grow up fast enough as it is. Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus puts you in control of their screen time and what they see on the net, even when you're not at home. Gain control of your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. With Access Internet, I know that I can rely on the service to operate our POS system and our 3D scanner. Access Internet gives us the reassurance that we're able to do proper fittings and takes a lot off my shoulders. I'm getting great service with Access Internet.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, sat sri akal.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM, Regina's community radio station.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
AccessNow TV is bringing Saskatchewan to you. Watch great local content, sports, community events, politics, entertainment, and everything in between. Find out more at accessnowtvapp.ca.
It's easy for me to remember passwords because I use the same one for everything. What's wrong with that?
Protecting your online accounts from cyber attacks starts with a strong password. Don't use easily guessable passwords and never reuse them across different accounts.
Creating and remembering passwords can be difficult, but password managers can generate complex passwords and store them for you securely.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Saskatchewan has one of the highest poverty rates in all of Canada. So our goal is to remove the financial and social barriers that children and youth from low-income families have to participating in arts and cultural activities. We also want them to be able to learn from knowledge keepers and elders about their cultural heritage. The Access Children's Fund will allow us to support up to 600 children across the province. Thank you to Access for helping us to help more children.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. This week's jackpot is $2,500 in 50 numbers or less.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. Why would you choose Access for your business? The experience I've had with Access technicians has been fantastic. They bring a certain personal touch to the game. The response time, the care sets them apart from all competition.
Every Every child deserves a chance. That's the dream behind the Access Communications Children's Fund, a registered charity that provides assistance to local organizations supporting children who are in need, at risk, or among the most vulnerable in our province. Since 1992, we've donated over $4.1 million to projects in Saskatchewan. If you know of a nonprofit or charitable organization in need of funding, visit myaccess.ca/children's fund.
Harbor Landing Village has a lot under one roof. We're a true community within a community. We have a full age-in-place senior care and living community, a child care center, award-winning restaurant, hair salon, and a home care agency. Reliable internet service from Access Communications is important to Harbor Landing Village because it's the main way our residents stay connected with their friends and family, and equally important as a business, essentially it's the backbone, it's what powers us.
Break free from traditional TV with Access Next TV Stream. Find all your live TV channels and streaming apps in one place. Watch live or recorded shows at home or on the go with the Next TV Stream app. Catch up on programs from the past 3 days, even if you forgot to set them to record.
There's the shot, score!
And record and save your favorite shows in the cloud. Watch TV your way for as low as $9.95 a month with Access Next TV Stream. An Access Smart Home is a safer, more efficient home. With the touch of an app, you can see who's at the door, turn down the lights and turn up the heat, tell your furry friend to get off the couch, and sleep sound with around-the-clock home monitoring. Access Smart Home puts you in control. And of course, our famous customer service is always included. Make your home a smarter, safer, more efficient home. Learn more at myaccess.ca.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. The reason I love Access Security, it is user-friendly, easy to manage, and takes a lot off my shoulders. When I leave at the end of the day, I can relax knowing my building's protected.
It's really important that students get physical activity and have positive interactions one-on-one with each other. My name is Joel Dreger, and I'm the principal of Walter W. Brown School in Langham, Saskatchewan. One of the projects that we undertook was to build a new playground facility. We needed to raise about $100,000 for this playground. We just want to thank Access Communications Children's Fund for your generous donation. It really gave us a strong foundation to get our project off the ground.
Decision 2025. AccessNow TV and the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce bring you live debate coverage April 22nd and 23rd starting at 6 p.m. Watch it on AccessNow TV, the AccessNow TV app, or on our YouTube channel.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus is pure genius, automatically optimizing the signal in every room of your home so your Wi-Fi is always running at full throttle. Turbocharge your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Some homes just aren't made for strong Wi-Fi from backyard to basement. But with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus, just plug in a pod and cover every corner with wall-to-wall Wi-Fi. Give your Wi-Fi a boost with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the fun.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
Updating my software takes forever. Why can't I just skip it and do it later?
Outdated software can be vulnerable to security threats, which could compromise your personal information and device. Don't risk it. Update your software regularly to ensure it's equipped with the latest security features and bug fixes.
Users need to implement those updates as soon as possible, because not only is it new features, but they actually fix security vulnerabilities in the software.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Support your community, grow your business, sponsor an AccessNow TV production, and your company will get unprecedented primetime television coverage and a platform to connect with thousands of people every day. Your logo and your message on all major television networks. We have content that suits your brand, like broadcast sports, talk shows, live events, and everything in between, ensuring that your message will reach the right audience. Call me today to find out more.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. Visit myaccess.ca/TV Bingo.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus adds an extra layer of home security without using cameras by detecting motion through Wi-Fi signals. How smart is that? Plug in a pod and secure your home with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Kids grow up fast enough as it is. Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus puts you in control of their screen time and what they see on the net. Even when you're not at home, gain control of your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. With Access Internet, I know that I can rely on the service to operate our POS system and our 3D scanner. Access Internet gives us the reassurance that we're able to do proper fittings and takes a lot off my shoulders. I'm getting great service with Access Internet.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, sat sri akal.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM. Regina's community radio station.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
AccessNow TV is bringing Saskatchewan to you. Watch great local content, sports, community events, politics, entertainment, and everything in between. Find out more at accessnowtvapp.ca.
It's easy for me to remember passwords because I use the same one for everything. What's wrong with that?
Protecting your online accounts from cyber attacks starts with a strong password. Don't use easily guessable passwords and never reuse them across different accounts.
Creating and remembering passwords can be difficult, but password managers can generate complex passwords and store them for you securely.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Saskatchewan has one of the highest poverty rates in all of Canada. So our goal is to remove the financial and social barriers that children and youth from low-income families have to participating in arts and cultural activities. We also want them to be able to learn from knowledge keepers and elders about their cultural heritage. The Access Children's Fund will allow us to support up to 600 children across the province. Thank you to Access for helping us to help more children.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. This week's jackpot is $2,500 in 50 numbers or less.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. Why would you choose Access for your business? The experience I've had with Access technicians has been fantastic. They bring a certain personal touch to the game. The response time, the care sets them apart from all competition.
Every child deserves a chance. That's the dream behind the Access Communications Children's Fund, a registered charity that provides assistance to local organizations supporting children who are in need, at risk, or among the most vulnerable in our province. Since 1992, we've donated over $4.1 million to projects in Saskatchewan. If you know of a nonprofit or charitable organization in need of funding, visit myaccess.ca/children's fund.
Harbor Landing Village has a lot under one roof. We're a true community within a community. We have a full age-in-place senior care and living community, a child care center, award-winning restaurant, hair salon, and a home care agency. Reliable internet service from Access Communications is important to Harbor Landing Village because it's the main way our residents stay connected with their friends and family, and equally important as a business, essentially it's the backbone, it's what powers us.
Break free from traditional TV with Access Next TV Stream. Find all your live TV channels and streaming apps in one place. Watch live or recorded shows at home or on the go with the Next TV Stream app. Catch up on programs from the past 3 days, even if you forgot to set them to record.
There's the shot, score!
And record and save your favorite shows in the cloud. Watch TV your way for as low as $9.95 a month with Access Next TV Stream. An Access Smart Home is a safer, more efficient home. With the touch of an app, you can see who's at the door, turn down the lights and turn up the heat, tell your furry friend to get off the couch, and sleep sound with around-the-clock home monitoring. Access Smart Home puts you in control. And of course, our famous customer service is always included. Make your home a smarter, safer, more efficient home. Learn more at myaccess.ca.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. The reason I love Access Security, it is user-friendly, easy to manage, and takes a lot off my shoulders. When I leave at the end of the day, I can relax knowing my building's protected.
It's really important that students get physical activity and have positive interactions one-on-one with each other. My name is Joel Dreger, and I'm the principal of Walter W. Brown School in Langham, Saskatchewan. One of the projects that we undertook was to build a new playground facility. We needed to raise about $100,000 for this playground. We just want to thank Access Communications Children's Fund for your generous donation. It really gave us a strong foundation to get our project off the ground.
Decision 2025. AccessNow TV and the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce bring you live debate coverage April 22nd and 23rd starting at 6 p.m. Watch it on AccessNow TV, the AccessNow TV app, or on our YouTube channel.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus is pure genius, automatically optimizing the signal in every room of your home so your Wi-Fi is always running at full throttle. Turbocharge your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Some homes just aren't made for strong Wi-Fi from backyard to basement. But with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus, just plug in a pod and cover every corner with wall-to-wall Wi-Fi. Give your Wi-Fi a boost with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the fun.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
Updating my software takes forever. Why can't I just skip it and do it later?
Outdated software can be vulnerable to security threats, which could compromise your personal information and device. Don't risk it. Update your software regularly to ensure it's equipped with the latest security features and bug fixes.
Users need to implement those updates as soon as possible, because not only is it new features, but they actually fix security vulnerabilities in the software.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Support your community, grow your business, sponsor an AccessNow TV production, and your company will get unprecedented primetime television coverage and a platform to connect with thousands of people every day. Your logo and your message on all major television networks. We have content that suits your brand, like broadcast sports, talk shows, live events, and everything in between, ensuring that your message will reach the right audience. Call me today to find out more.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. Visit myaccess.ca/TV Bingo.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus adds an extra layer of home security without using cameras by detecting motion through Wi-Fi signals. How smart is that? Plug in a pod and secure your home with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Kids grow up fast enough as it is. Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus puts you in control of their screen time and what they see on the net, even when you're not at home. Gain control of your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. With Access Internet, I know that I can rely on the service to operate our POS system and our 3D scanner. Access Internet gives us the reassurance that we're able to do proper fittings and takes a lot off my shoulders. I'm getting great service with Access Internet.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, sat sri akal.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM. Regina's community radio station.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
AccessNow TV is bringing Saskatchewan to you. Watch great local content, sports, community events, politics, entertainment, and everything in between. Find out more at accessnowtvapp.ca.
It's easy for me to remember passwords because I use the same one for everything. What's wrong with that?
Protecting your online accounts from cyber attacks starts with a strong password. Don't use easily guessable passwords and never reuse them across different accounts.
Creating and remembering passwords can be difficult, but password managers can generate complex passwords and store them for you securely.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Saskatchewan has one of the highest poverty rates in all of Canada. So our goal is to remove the financial and social barriers that children and youth from low-income families have to participating in arts and cultural activities. We also want them to be able to learn from knowledge keepers and elders about their cultural heritage. The Access Children's Fund will allow us to support up to 600 children across the province. Thank you to Access for helping us to help more children.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. This week's jackpot is $2,500 in 50 numbers or less.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. Why would you choose Access for your business? The experience I've had with Access technicians has been fantastic. They bring a certain personal touch to the game. The response time, the care sets them apart from all competition.
Every child deserves a chance. That's the dream behind the Access Communications Children's Fund, a registered charity that provides assistance to local organizations supporting children who are in need, at risk, or among the most vulnerable in our province. Since 1992, we've donated over $4.1 million to projects in Saskatchewan. If you know of a nonprofit or charitable organization in need of funding, visit myaccess.ca/children's fund.
Harbor Landing Village has a lot under one roof. We're a true community within a community. We have a full age-in-place senior care and living community, a child care center, award-winning restaurant, hair salon, and a home care agency. Reliable internet service from Access Communications is important to Harbor Landing Village because it's the main way our residents stay connected with their friends and family, and equally important as a business, essentially it's the backbone, it's what powers us.
Break free from traditional TV with Access Next TV Stream. Find all your live TV channels and streaming apps in one place. Watch live or recorded shows at home or on the go with the Next TV Stream app. Catch up on programs from the past 3 days, even if you forgot to set them to record.
There's the shot, score!
And record and save your favorite shows in the cloud. Watch TV your way for as low as $9.95 a month with Access Next TV Stream. An Access Smart Home is a safer, more efficient home. With the touch of an app, you can see who's at the door, turn down the lights and turn up the heat, tell your furry friend to get off the couch, and sleep sound with around-the-clock home monitoring. Access Smart Home puts you in control. And of course, our famous customer service is always included. Make your home a smarter, safer, more efficient home. Learn more at myaccess.ca.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. The reason I love Access Security, it is user-friendly, easy to manage, and takes a lot off my shoulders. When I leave at the end of the day, I can relax knowing my building's protected.
It's really important that students get physical activity and have positive interactions one-on-one with each other. My name is Joel Dreger, and I'm the principal of Walter W. Brown School in Langham, Saskatchewan. One of the projects that we undertook was to build a new playground facility. We needed to raise about $100,000 for this playground. We just want to thank Access Communications Children's Fund for your generous donation. It really gave us a strong foundation to get our project off the ground.
Decision 2025. AccessNow TV and the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce bring you live debate coverage April 22nd and 23rd starting at 6 p.m. Watch it on AccessNow TV, the AccessNow TV app, or on our YouTube channel.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus is pure genius, automatically optimizing the signal in every room of your home so your Wi-Fi is always running at full throttle. Turbocharge your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Some homes just aren't made for strong Wi-Fi from backyard to basement. But with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus, just plug in a pod and cover every corner with wall-to-wall Wi-Fi. Give your Wi-Fi a boost with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the fun.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying.
And what they are listening to.
Updating my software takes forever. Why can't I just skip it and do it later?
Outdated software can be vulnerable to security threats, which could compromise your personal information and device. Don't risk it. Update your software regularly to ensure it's equipped with the latest security features and bug fixes.
Users need to implement those updates as soon as possible, because not only is it new features, but they actually fix security vulnerabilities in the software.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Support your community, grow your business, sponsor an AccessNow TV production, and your company will get unprecedented primetime television coverage and a platform to connect with thousands of people every day. Your logo and your message on all major television networks. We have content that suits your brand, like broadcast sports, talk shows, live events, and everything in between, ensuring that your message will reach the right audience. Call me today to find out more.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. Visit myaccess.ca/TV Bingo.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus adds an extra layer of home security without using cameras by detecting motion through Wi-Fi signals. How smart is that? Plug in a pod and secure your home with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Kids grow up fast enough as it is. Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus puts you in control of their screen time and what they see on the net. Even when you're not at home, gain control of your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. With Access Internet, I know that I can rely on the service to operate our POS system and our 3D scanner. Access Internet gives us the reassurance that we're able to do proper fittings and takes a lot off my shoulders. I'm getting great service with Access Internet.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, sat sri akal.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM, Regina's community radio station.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
AccessNow TV is bringing Saskatchewan to you. Watch great local politics, entertainment, and everything in between. Find out more at accessnowtvapp.ca.
It's easy for me to remember passwords because I use the same one for everything. What's wrong with that?
Protecting your online accounts from cyber attacks starts with a strong password. Don't use easily guessable passwords and never reuse them across different accounts.
Creating and remembering passwords can be difficult, but password managers can generate complex passwords and store them for you securely.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Saskatchewan has one of the highest poverty rates in all of Canada. So our goal is to remove the financial and social barriers that children and youth from low-income families have to participating in arts and cultural activities. We also want them to be able to learn from knowledge keepers and elders about their cultural heritage. The Access Children's Fund, up to 600 children across the province. Thank you to Access for helping us to help more children.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. This week's jackpot is $2,500 in 50 numbers or less.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. Why would you choose Access for your business? The experience I've had with Access technicians has been fantastic. They bring a certain personal touch to the game. The response time, the care sets them apart from all competition.
Every child deserves a chance. That's the dream behind the Access Communications Children's Fund, a registered charity that provides assistance to local organizations supporting children who are in need, at risk, or among the most vulnerable in our province. Since 1992, we've donated over $4.1 million to projects in Saskatchewan. If you know of a nonprofit or charitable organization in need of funding, visit myaccess.ca/children's fund.
Harbor Landing Village has a lot under one roof. We're a true community within a community. We have a full age-in-place senior care and living community, a child care center, award-winning restaurant, hair salon, and a home care agency. Reliable internet service from Access Communications is important to Harbor Landing Village because it's the main way our residents stay connected with their friends and family, and equally important as a business, essentially it's the backbone, it's what powers us.
Break free from traditional TV with Access Next TV Stream. Find all your live TV channels and streaming apps in one place. Watch live or recorded shows at home or on the go with the Next TV Stream app. Catch up on programs from the past 3 days, even if you forgot to set them to record.
There's the shot, score!
And record and save your favorite shows in the cloud. Watch TV your way for as low as $9.95 a month with Access Next TV Stream. An Access Smart Home is a safer, more efficient home. With the touch of an app, you can see who's at the door, turn down the lights and turn up the heat, tell your furry friend to get off the couch, and sleep sound with around-the-clock home monitoring. Access Smart Home puts you in control. And of course, our famous customer service is always included. Make your home a smarter, safer, more efficient home. Learn more at myaccess.ca.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. The reason I love Access Security, it is user-friendly, easy to manage, and takes a lot off my shoulders. When I leave at the end of the day, I can relax knowing my building's protected.
It's really important that students get physical activity and have positive interactions one-on-one with each other. My name is Joel Dreger, and I'm the principal of Walter W. Brown School in Langham, Saskatchewan. One of the projects that we undertook was to build a new playground facility. We needed to raise about $100,000 for this playground. We just want to thank Access Communications Children's Fund for your generous donation. It really gave us a strong foundation to get our project off the ground.
Decision 2025. AccessNow TV and the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce bring you live debate coverage April 22nd and 23rd starting at 6 p.m. Watch it on AccessNow TV, the AccessNow TV app, or on our YouTube channel.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the fun.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying
and what they are listening to.
It's really important that students get physical activity and have positive interactions one-on-one with each other. My name is Joel Dreger, and I'm the principal of Walter W. Brown School in Langham, Saskatchewan. One of the projects that we undertook was to build a new playground facility. We needed to raise about $100,000 for this playground. We just want to thank Access Communications Children's Fund for your generous donation. It really gave us a strong foundation to get our project off the ground.
Updating my software takes forever. Why can't I just skip it and do it later?
Outdated software can be vulnerable to security threats, which could compromise your personal information and device. Don't risk it. Update your software regularly to ensure it's equipped with the latest security features and bug fixes.
Users need to implement those updates as soon as possible, because not only is it new features, but they actually fix security vulnerabilities in the software.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Support your community, grow your business, sponsor an AccessNow TV production, and your company will get unprecedented primetime television coverage and a platform to connect with thousands of people every day. Your logo and your message on all major television networks. We have content that suits your brand, like broadcast sports, talk shows, live events, and everything in between, ensuring that your message will reach the right audience. Call me today to find out more.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. Visit myaccess.ca/TV Bingo.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus adds an extra layer of home security without using cameras by detecting motion through Wi-Fi signals. How smart is that? Plug in a pod and secure your home with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Kids grow up fast enough as it is. Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus puts you in control of their screen time and what they see on the net, even when you're not at home. Gain control of your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. With Access Internet, I know that I can rely on the service to operate our POS system and our 3D scanner. Access Internet gives us the reassurance that we're able to do proper fittings and takes a lot off my shoulders. I'm getting a great service with Access Internet.
Access local music.
Access the alternative.
Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, sat sri akal.
Access culture.
Access the classics.
Access the conversation.
Access Now, 91.3 FM. Regina's community radio station.
Local content made for Regina by the people who live here.
Hear what the people in your community are saying.
And what they are listening to.
It's easy for me to remember passwords because I use the same one for everything. What's wrong with that?
Protecting your online accounts from cyber attacks starts with a strong password. Don't use easily guessable passwords and never reuse them across different accounts.
Creating and remembering passwords can be difficult, but password managers can generate complex passwords and store them for you securely.
Learn more at myaccess.ca/cybersecurity.
Saskatchewan has one of the highest poverty rates in all of Canada. So our goal is to remove the financial and social barriers that children and youth from low-income families have to participating in arts and cultural activities. We also want them to be able to learn from knowledge keepers and elders about their cultural heritage. The Access Children's Fund will allow us to support up to 600 children across the province. Thank you to Access for helping us to help more children.
Play Access Communications Children's Fun TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 p.m. for your chance to win big and support children across Saskatchewan. This week's jackpot is $2,500 in 50 numbers or less.
Our award-winning Roots Kitchen and Bar, located in Harbour Landing Village, serves up great food, fostering connection over meals that feel like home. Roots Kitchen and Bar, your local neighborhood hidden gem.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. Why would you choose Access for your business? The experience I've had with Access technicians has been fantastic. They bring a certain personal touch to the game. The response time, the care sets them apart from all competition.
Every child deserves a chance. That's the dream behind the Access Communications Children's Fund, a registered charity that provides assistance to local organizations supporting children who are in need, at risk, or among the most vulnerable in our province. Since 1992, we've donated over $4.1 million to projects in Saskatchewan. If you know of a nonprofit or charitable organization in need of funding, visit myaccess.ca/children's fund.
Harbor Landing Village has a lot under one roof. We're a true community within a community. We have a full age-in-play senior care and living community, a child care center, award-winning restaurant, hair salon, and a home care agency. Reliable internet service from Access Communications is important to Harbor Landing Village because it's the main way our residents stay connected with their friends and family, and equally important as a business, essentially it's the backbone, it's what powers us.
Break free from traditional TV with Access Next TV Stream. Find all your live TV channels and streaming apps in one place. Watch live or recorded shows at home or on the go with the Next TV Stream app. Catch up on programs from the past 3 days, even if you forgot to set them to record.
There's the shot, score!
And record and save your favorite shows in the cloud. Watch TV your way for as low as $9.95 a month with Access Next TV Stream. An Access Smart Home is a safer, more efficient home. With the touch of an app, you can see who's at the door, turn down the lights and turn up the heat, tell your furry friend to get off the couch, and sleep sound with around-the-clock home monitoring. Access Smart Home puts you in control. And of course, our famous customer service is always included. Make your home a smarter, safer, more efficient home. Learn more at myaccess.ca.
I'm Donnie Uren, owner of Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. We specialize in working with our customers and having product knowledge and making sure that we have the right fit so you can produce and perform. The services we have with Access are security, internet, and phone. The reason I love Access Security, it is user-friendly, easy to manage, and takes a lot off my shoulders. When I leave at the end of the day, I can relax knowing my building's protected.
It's really important that students get physical activity and have positive interactions one-on-one with each other. My name is Joel Dreger, and I'm the principal of Walter W. Brown School in Langham, Saskatchewan. One of the projects that we undertook was to build a new playground facility. We needed to raise about $100,000 for this playground. We just want to thank Access Communications Children's Fund for your generous donation. It really gave us a strong foundation to get our project off the ground.
Decision 2025. AccessNow TV and the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce bring you live debate coverage April 22nd and 23rd starting at 6 p.m. Watch it on AccessNow TV, the AccessNow TV app, or on our YouTube channel.
Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus is pure genius, automatically optimizing the signal in every room of your home so your Wi-Fi is always running at full throttle. Turbocharge your Wi-Fi with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus. Some homes just aren't made for strong Wi-Fi from backyard to basement. But with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus, just plug in a pod and cover every corner with wall-to-wall Wi-Fi. Give your Wi-Fi a boost with Access Smart Wi-Fi Plus.
The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees. Decision 2025. Live debate coverage is brought to you by the Saskatchewan Realtors Association, the Regina and Region Home Builders Association, and APAS.
Good evening and welcome to Decision 2025, Our Country, Our Vote. My name is Lisa Peters and I will be your moderator for these debates. I want to recognize and acknowledge that the location for tonight's debate is on Treaty 4 lands. These are the traditional territories of the Cree, Dene, Nakota, Dakota, Lakota, the Saulteaux, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Access Communication is committed to honoring the history, spirituality, and rich culture of Indigenous peoples in this region. This evening is being brought to you by the Saskatchewan Realtors Association, the Regina and Region Home Builders Association, AccessNow TV, and the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce. In preparation for this evening's debate, draws were made for opening and closing comments and podium position. Tonight's debate will be for the candidates in the Regina Quapel riding. I would now like to introduce you to the candidates of this evening's debate. At podium 1, we have Andrew Scheer, Conservative Party. Podium 2, Dion Failer, People's Party of Canada. Podium 3, Chris Simi, New Democratic Party. And podium 4, Raima Mia, Liberal Party of Canada. We will now begin with opening comments, and the first opening comment goes to Andrew Scheer. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, and thanks for watching. This election, I would ask you to consider a very important question. Which party is always on Saskatchewan's side? It's certainly not Mark Carney and the Liberals. Saskatchewan has been hit perhaps the hardest of all the provinces over the last 10 years of Liberal policies. Mark Carney supported Justin Trudeau when he killed Northern Gateway and Energy East, 2 big pipelines that not only would have created jobs here in Regina at Evraz, but also would have meant billions in revenue for our provincial government to run schools, build roads, and run hospitals. It certainly wasn't when the Liberals brought in a cap on fertilizer, punishing our farmers and preventing them from doing what they do best, produce the highest quality food in the world. It certainly wasn't when Liberals passed soft on crime policies that put the rights of dangerous and repeat offenders ahead of the rights of law-abiding citizens. And it certainly is not the Liberals when they say that they're going to keep the industrial carbon tax. What about Jagmeet Singh and the NDP? Well, they supported Justin Trudeau all the way, always taking Justin Trudeau's side, supporting all those policies that are against our province's best interests. Pierre Poilievre, myself, and the Conservative Party have always been on Saskatchewan's side. We're going to say yes to big energy projects that increase jobs here in our province. We're going to make our community safer by putting dangerous and repeat offenders behind bars so that your rights come first. And we're going to lower taxes and get a grip on inflation by fixing the budget. So I humbly ask for your vote so I can continue to be a champion for the province I love so dearly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. To you, Mr. Simi, 2 minutes for opening comments.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris, and I am running for the NDP because I believe that we can do better. I have spent years working with people from all walks of life, every political party, and learned their struggles, their hopes, their challenges. And the fact is our communities are strong, but too often the systems that we have are failing us, and our parties, our leadership is failing us. I'm here because we deserve a government that listens to you and acts in our best interest without political gamesmanship, without trying to engage in revisionist history, in divisive language, engaging in culture war politics. I think that we are better than that as a people. And I think that this year, having spoken with many, many folks in the riding, people feel that more than ever. Tonight, let's talk about a future that we want to build for all of us, one that's fair, just, and sustainable, and not look back in the past, throw blame, and generate hatred of one another, frankly. Everyone at these podiums cares deeply about this country, and we should get our politics back to speaking about facts. Those pipelines were canceled because another province feels the way that we feel, not because of Justin Trudeau or Jagmeet Singh, because Quebec has sovereignty like we demand. And he is playing with division of our country.
Thank you, Mr. Simi. Ms. Failer, your opening comments. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, Saskatchewanians. My name is Dion Failer, and I am the candidate for the People's Party of Canada. I am not a career politician. I am a mother that believes in freedom, respect, personal responsibility, and fairness, all the values in which the policies are made of with the People's Party. I believe that there should be a change within our government. It has been the same for way too long. They keep dictating as to how we need to live our lives, and it should be the people who decide, which comes to freedom. Freedom of choice, freedom to believe what we need, freedom of expression. I truly believe that a harsh truth is better than a sweet lie. So when making the policies and procedures, we need to look at the facts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. To you, Ms. Mia, you have 2 minutes for opening comments.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raima Mia, and I'm the proud Liberal candidate for Regina Quapel. Right now, we're facing a critical moment in history, not just here in Saskatchewan, but across Canada. With Donald Trump threatening Canadian sovereignty from across the border and Pierre Poilievre trying to import the same far-right agenda into our politics, we must stand together to protect what makes our country strong: compassion, fairness, and commitment to every community. I moved to Regina at the age of 14. I attended Sheldon Williams Collegiate and earned my degree in political science at the University of Regina. Since the moment I arrived in the city, I've worked alongside communities, listening, learning, and doing everything I can to help make life better for the people around me. That's why I'm running. These elections are monumental. So much is at stake, and we cannot afford to lose. Regina Quapel is a diverse and expansive riding, one that includes over 10 Indigenous communities and some of Regina's lowest income neighborhoods. And yet, for the past 20 years, the incumbent MP has ignored them. He's treated democratic representation like a privilege, not a right. But being an MP means showing up for everyone. It means understanding the unique needs of your riding and fighting for them in Ottawa, and Andrew Scheer has failed to do so. Pierre Poilievre's platform was released today, full of catchy slogans like axe to tax and boots not suits, but completely disconnected from the realities people are facing. His plan would cut vital programs like $10 childcare, dental care, and pharma care, and many more. The Conservative plan doesn't even mention Indigenous people, let alone reconciliation or consultation. It would take us backwards, erasing the progress we've made as a country. Putting my name forward wasn't an easy choice, but it was a right one. I am not running to make it to Parliament Hill. I'm running to bring voices of all Regina residents into the House of Commons, to stand up for families, for workers, for youths, and for elders, to ensure no one is left behind.
Thank you, Ms. Mia. All right, I want to thank everyone for their opening comments. We will now begin our debate. Question 1 will go to you, Mr. Scheer. We're going to talk about local and economic. The question is, how will you support the diversification of Regina's economy beyond traditional industries like oil, gas, and agriculture?
Well, thanks very much for the question. First, I just have to refute a few erroneous statements. Northern Gateway was killed by Justin Trudeau and supported by Jagmeet Singh. That was a political decision that was taken. And Energy East, again, the Liberal government supported by the NDP, effectively changed the rules to kill that project as well. In terms of our local economy, the Conservative government has had a great record. We have invested a whole lot into the region, including the Global Transportation Hub, which unlocked all kinds of investments here. We believe our traditional industries are critically important. There's no need to keep an industrial carbon tax on steel manufacturing here in Regina, something that both Mark Carney and Jagmeet Singh have committed to doing. That puts our steel workers here at a huge disadvantage when they're competing against their U.S. counterparts. Tax cuts to encourage innovation and investment as well. Our leader has announced a capital gains exemption if you roll over your investments back into the Canadian economy. That's something that Saskatchewan could really benefit from. We've seen a lot of innovation in the agri-food sector to go beyond just selling our raw commodities. That's something that the Conservative Party would absolutely continue.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. Ms. Failer, you have 1 minute.
Okay, the People's Party would encourage investment and productivity growth. Also, by cutting the current taxes that are put onto the corporates, we would eliminate corporate subsidies and inefficient government interventions, so allowing the companies to deal with themselves versus having the handouts from the government themselves. We would also cut the red tape, so that way companies would be able to grow and prosper.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. To you, Mr. Simi, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. We would support policies that would definitely help with diversifying our economy on the prairies. The first is a coast-to-coast energy infrastructure that would allow energy sales from province to province, support removing of trade barriers that allow us to build a better in-Canada economy. We would mandate to levels of government to buy Canadian, which would help build up our capacity within the country. We would also, as we're transitioning, help bulk up EI by improving the benefits, lessening, eliminating the waiting period, and expanding work share programs to keep people in work as we transition our economy. Mr. Scheer mentioned steel and aluminum. We are in the middle of a trade war with the United States that is desperately defending its steel and aluminum manufacturing. We are not likely to see trade in that way with the United States in the long term. Their goal is to crush our industry.
Thank you, Mr. Simi. We will move on to Ms. Mia. You have 1 minute.
Firstly, we will cut the red tape. We will invest in trade productivity, enabling infrastructure like ports, railway, airports, and highways to ensure we have a foundation for Canadian production to move to markets. We will also invest in major nation-building projects, including in the north, that will grow our economy, expand our products to new markets and reliable trading partners, and create jobs for Canadians' workers. We will also do this all while making Canada a leader in clean and conventional energy, lowering energy bills for families, and protecting Canada's natural beauty.
Thank you, Ms. Mia. Well, many of you touched on job creation. We're going to talk now about a question directed at job creation. Regina has seen job losses in certain sectors over the past few years. What specific measures will you take to create new jobs in the city, especially for young people? This question goes to you, Ms. Failer, first.
A lot of jobs are lost because of mass immigration that local Canadians are unable to actually get into the workforce. So cutting the mass immigration allows for job opportunity for local Canadians to continue to grow and prosper. Again, we will be cutting red tape so that way more businesses can grow and the productivity is there for the people of Regina and Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. To you, Mr. Simi, you have 1 minute.
Some points in my previous response I think are appropriate here. I will add, we are proposing the most effective tax cut for working Canadians. Canadians who can't take advantage of a tax cut that Mr. Scheer proposes. Many Canadians don't have investments. We cannot benefit from capital gains tax cuts. At the same time, that kind of income to working class Canadians generates economic opportunity. It allows them to go out and spend money at local businesses for services, which generates a tremendous amount of economic activity. It is the nature of economics in North America in the last 40 years is transitioning towards a service economy and not a resource extraction economy. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Simi. Ms. Mia, you have 1 minute.
Look, as a young person myself, this kind of hits home because I moved away from Saskatchewan to find a job that I can work. Number one, work with provinces to bring investments into Saskatchewan. Bring investments into like computer industry. We can make more diversity in the job market here. Saskatchewan has so much potential, but people my age don't have the opportunity here. So it's about working with the Premier and bringing more companies to Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Ms. Mia. And to you, Mr. Scheer, you have 1 minute.
When you look at the major economic engines in Regina, it's the energy sector. And that's why the NDP and Liberal plan to keep that industrial carbon tax makes no sense for Regina or Saskatchewan. I've known so many people over the years who graduated from high school and got good paying jobs at Evraz or at the refinery. Those jobs are at risk if Mark Carney and Jagmeet Singh continue to have their way to damage our economy. When you look at agriculture, a lot of people can go out and get first-hand experience working in the agri-sector, whether it's at our major terminals like AGT or on family farms. The Liberal fertilizer cap threatens our ability to do that. In addition to repealing that industrial carbon tax that makes no sense, Conservatives are also going to cut income taxes. We're also going to allow tradespeople to write off more of their costs, including their travel costs, and we're bringing in a Blue Seals program to recognize credentials for new Canadians so that when they come, they can work in the field that they've studied and developed expertise in, and that benefits everyone in our province.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. All right, candidates, our next question is on housing affordability and has been recorded in advance by Stu Niebergall of Regina and Region Home Builders Association. Let's have a listen.
Housing remains one of Canada's biggest election issues. The great Canadian dream of home ownership isn't what it once was. For many young Canadians, it feels more like a fantasy than a future. What is your party's plan to make home ownership a realistic goal again, particularly for first-time buyers?
All right, this first question goes to you, Mr. Simi. You have 1 minute.
The NDP plan for housing largely involves building more public housing, non-market housing. We have been engaged since the early 90s in an experiment where we stopped building any public housing whatsoever. And it has resulted in continually increasing housing costs. Right here in Regina, in our home, housing costs have actually increased under Conservative leadership, both provincially and federally, during those periods faster than at any other point, because they prefer open market solutions. And there are times that they are the most appropriate, but housing is an inflexible demand. People require it. And with a profit motive involved, this is what you will get, is pricing people out of the market. And when too much of their funds go to housing, they can't participate in the economy, and we all suffer.
Thank you, Mr. Simi. To you, Ms. Mia, you have 1 minute.
A Mark Carney-led government will double the pace of construction to almost 500,000 new homes a year, with a housing plan that will create Build Canada homes to get the federal government back to its business to home building, make the housing market work better by catalyzing private capital, cutting red tape, and lowering the cost of home building, and eliminating the GST for first-time home buyers on homes at or under $1 million, saving families up to $50,000. Pierre Poilievre wants to cut policies that experts agree would build more homes, like Housing Accelerator Fund, and let the market do the rest. That's not leadership, that's ideology.
Thank you, Ms. Mia. Mr. Scheer, you have 1 minute.
So even the Liberal housing minister admitted that that housing accelerator didn't actually build any new homes. What both the NDP and Liberals are promising you is a government department. So the same people who can't get you your passport on time are somehow going to build millions of homes. The Liberals caused the housing crisis with their inflationary policies and by allowing the immigration system to go so much greater than the existing pace of new housing supply. Conservatives have a real plan. Not only are we going to take the GST off of new home construction, that's going to lower the cost of homes substantially. We're also going to sell off federal lands to create more space for homes to be built. And we're going to incentivize municipalities to get out of the way. I toured a housing development the other day, a 6-story residential build that was frozen in time. Workers were there, the wood was there, but they weren't allowed to construct it because the building permit was sitting on a table at City Hall, sitting on someone's desk. We need to speed up approvals and permitting and lower taxes on new home construction.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. Ms. Fahler, you have 1 minute.
With the housing problem, it is a supply and demand issue. So the People's Party plans to impose a moratorium on new permanent residents for as many years as necessary until the housing crisis has cooled down. The negative economic impact of mass immigration has been neutralized, and the process of social and cultural disingenuation due to mass immigration has been reserved. Therefore, sustainably lowering the number of permanent residents in Canada accepted every year. We will also modify the Bank of Canada's inflation target from 2% to 0%. This will cool the inflation in all sectors, including housing.
Thank you, Ms. Fahler. All right, we'll move on to our next question is in regards to economic policy and budget. What is your party's strategy in dealing with the ever-changing U.S. tariffs? This question will go first to Ms. Mia.
Look, our response on these latest tariffs is to fight, protect, and to build. We will fight the U.S. tariffs with retaliatory trade actions of our own that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact in Canada. We will protect our workers and our industries during this difficult period, but above all, we will build a new Canadian economy.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mia. To you, Mr. Scheer, you have 1 minute.
The best way to deal with these unjustified threats of tariffs and the existing tariffs is to fight back from a position of strength. Remember, Mark Carney moved his head office and billions of dollars of investments to the United States after Donald Trump was elected. He tried to deny that, but that is his record. There is no sense in telling our allies who come to Canada that there's no business case for LNG, something that Mark Carney and the Liberals have done, only to watch those same allies sign those deals in the Oval Office. Mark Carney will be Donald Trump's dream come true because he's going to weaken our economy by keeping that industrial carbon tax. He's going to keep saying no to big energy projects like LNG and a west to east pipeline. That means billions in lost revenues, over $175 billion in canceled energy projects. That is the record of the Liberal Party, supported every single step of the way by Jagmeet Singh and the NDP.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. Ms. Failer, you have 1 minute.
The People's Party will negotiate with Donald Trump as to the tariffs to create a fair. We will also strengthen our own economy by reducing the red tape to allow Canadian businesses to thrive, making it a strong economy for Canada.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. To you, Mr. Simi, you have 1 minute.
I actually find myself in agreement with Mr. Scheer on a point, which is rare. We need to negotiate from a position of strength, and that means being very careful and aware of the ramifications of the policy decisions we make. One of those decisions on the table today is the matter of our industrial carbon tax. It would be a weakness to change that policy right now, as much as it costs us, because the fact is that Europe and many other nations with which we seek to build new trading relationships require this type of policy. It has been baked into treaties for years, and it is a growing expectation on the world stage. By ending it, we reduce our options back to the United States.
Thank you, Mr. Simi. All right, our next question is local representation, and the question is, how will you ensure that the voices of Regina residents are heard and prioritized in federal policy decisions, particularly in areas like resource development, health care, and education? This question goes to you first, Mr. Scheer.
Well, thanks very much. It's a core Conservative belief that members of Parliament work for you, the voters, and the taxpayers, and I've taken that position very seriously. In addition to having 2 offices in the riding, one in Regina and one in the rural area in Fort Qu'Appelle, to make sure that I'm accessible to the entirety of my constituents, I often hold regular meet and greets, town hall type events, including everything from passport clinics to tax preparation advice. We have an open door policy in my office. We help people not just from Regina Quapel, but anywhere in Saskatchewan who happen to be looking for assistance. I also send out regular surveys to make sure that I'm always on the right track. I like to hear the feedback of my constituents. And I think if you look at the record that I've had as the Member of Parliament for Regina Quapel and stack it up against the policy promises, like you just heard from my NDP opponent, saying that they're going to keep that industrial carbon tax. That is not something that voters in Saskatchewan want. They didn't want the carbon tax to begin with. They certainly don't believe that it's going to stay off on the consumer side, and they definitely don't want to see jobs at the refinery and the steel plant threatened or killed because we have a tax on our manufacturers that the U.S. doesn't.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. Ms. Failer, you have 1 minute.
We are the People's Party, so we will always listen and bring the voices of Saskatchewan to the House. We need to work together to make a stronger Saskatchewan. We don't want the East dictating everything that we do here in the West. We are planning on cutting the carbon tax as well. We want to lower taxes and eventually get rid of them. It is going in the right direction with the people. We are for the people. We believe in freedom and respect and personal responsibility. And so when people come to us, we will take it where we need to.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. Mr. Simi, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I like the personal touch. I ran for City Council last fall and ran with my personal phone number up, public facing on the internet. Got several calls at strange times. And I've actually done that in this campaign too. Now, not many people will have found it, but maybe that's for the best. My experience with that is that people are extremely respectful and don't abuse that. And that is the type of openness that I would try to maintain as an MP. I know that would be very difficult. I would, as much as humanly possible, remain living in the province so that I was in touch with the people here and the things that they need, the way that they live their lives. I find it hard to comport a man earning over $200,000 a year that reaches into his party's pocket to pay for private school for his kids, which led to him being run out of party leadership with being an average
All right.
guy.
Thank you, Mr. Simi. We will move on to Ms. Mia. You have 1 minute.
Look, I don't think we should be standing here and lying that the incumbent MP met with all his constituents. While door knocking in North Central, deep North Central, I was told he's never made his way to their door in 20 years. I'm not going to argue about it more. For me, it's about people. I'm standing here to represent the people, have their voice heard in the House of Commons. I don't have a benefit from all of this. This is a selfless job, and you don't do it for benefit. And for the carbon tax, it doesn't exist. The carbon tax, the industrial carbon tax, is there to have industry be responsible for our environment. Climate change is very real. I'm from Pakistan. My city is the most polluted city in the entire world. You can't breathe there. This carbon tax helps us save the environment in Canada.
Thank you, Ms. Mia. All right, we'll now move on to our candidate-to-candidate questions. Each candidate will be given 20 seconds to ask a question, whomever they choose. The candidate they have asked has 40 seconds to respond. The first candidate-to-candidate question will go to Ms. Failer. You have 20 seconds to ask a question.
My question is for Mr. Scheer. During COVID, myself and many other Canadians lost their jobs standing up for body autonomy and medical freedom. How did you stand up for the Canadian people that had their livelihoods threatened?
Well, thanks very much for that question, and that was a very difficult time for a lot of people. And government lockdowns certainly did have a devastating effect on people's personal well-being and the economy as a whole. And of course, many people went through tremendous health issues as well. Our party supported the rights of individuals to make their own decisions. We fought against the types of divisive mandates that deprive people of that choice. So for people who lost their jobs, people who were banned from getting on planes, we fought for the rights of people to have that personal choice. We believed in vaccines and we encouraged people to get them, but at the end of the day, we thought that individuals should have that personal freedom to make their own healthcare choices.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. Mr. Simi, you have 20 seconds to ask your question to your candidate.
My question is to Mr. Scheer. Your party's housing plan threatens to withhold funding from the cities unless they get it done. A message that might work in Toronto or Vancouver. It's actually fairly well aligned for those centres. But here in Regina Quapel, our municipalities are already losing money on new developments. Your plan won't build homes here. It'll leave us with higher property taxes.
Mr. Simi.
Why would anyone believe your plan will help when your record shows the opposite, voting against housing at every step of the way?
The Conservative record on housing is phenomenal. Back when the Conservative government was in power, housing was affordable. Mortgages were half what they are today, rents were half of what they are today, and the needed down payment was half of what they are today. Municipalities across the country have choices to make. They can spend money on stupid things like bike lanes from nowhere to nowhere in Regina, or some of the wasteful spending we've seen at the City Hall here in Regina, or they can speed up approvals. They can access extra funding from a Conservative government if they hit those targets. If they increase those local housing targets or results by 15%, they'll have access to even more federal dollars so they can help build and meet their infrastructure needs.
Regina's already lost money on every development in the last 10 years.
We'll move on to Ms. Mia. Ms. Mia, you have 20 seconds to ask your question.
Mr. Scheer, I worked in Ottawa for almost a year now, and I've had to get my security clearance twice. So how can you follow a leader who fails to get one?
See, Pierre Poilievre got his security clearance when he was minister, so that's not the issue. The issue is the Liberals didn't want him to be able to talk about foreign interference from the regime in Beijing. My question back to you, I'll answer your question with a question. This isn't my actual question. How can you support a leader who allowed a Liberal candidate to call for a bounty to be put on another candidate by the communist regime in Beijing, and then watch Mark Carney stand by that candidate? That is unbelievable. And maybe you can tell viewers why Mark Carney got a $250 billion loan from the communist Beijing the communist regime in Beijing, and what promises he had to make to the government of China in order to get that loan.
All right, Mr. Scheer, thank you. It is now your turn to ask a question. You have 20 seconds.
I guess I'd ask my NDP opponent, Mr. Shimi, if he can explain why the NDP are so in favor and so aligned with Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney's soft on crime policies. Crime is a big issue here in Regina Quapel, and the Liberals brought in bail, not jail, for dangerous and repeat offenders, and the NDP supported him, the Liberals, every step of the way. Why are you running for a party that is so offside with the residents here in Regina?
Well, it's certainly not on this issue. I reject the premise of the question. It's a false narrative. Crime rates are not spiking. The statistics show clearly there's been a mild increase. Crime rates haven't been at this level since the early 90s. This is a narrative being established to sow fear among the electorate, frankly. Now, I don't disagree personally that there are some tweaks that could potentially be made and possibly should. But this narrative that you're throwing out is a falsehood.
You can talk to people in North Central about that and other communities.
Thank you, Mr.
I live
Simi.
there. You haven't
and
lived
Mr.
in the
Scheer.
city in years.
We'll move on to growing populations. Candidates, our next question has been recorded in advance by Chris Garrett of the Saskatchewan Realtors Association. Let's have a listen.
Saskatchewan continues to set new population records, now eclipsing 1.25 million residents. This is welcomed growth, especially when we consider the growing shortage of skilled labor, not only in our province, but across the country. It's also important to note that we have an acute housing shortage. So how would your government mesh those two competing demands to ensure that we can continue welcoming growth in Saskatchewan and our country?
This question will go to you first, Mr. Simi. You have 1 minute.
I kind of missed the question a little bit there. I apologize.
All right, I will. Saskatchewan continues to set population records, now eclipsing 1.2 million residents.
Yes.
This is welcomed growth, particularly when we think of the growing skilled labor shortage that the province and the country is experiencing. This is particularly challenging, however, because we know we have an acute housing shortage in Saskatchewan and across the country. How will your government ensure we can address both these issues so we continue to welcome growth?
One, renewing our historical commitment to public housing projects in this country. Like countries the world over, it is a necessity for the housing market to have non-market homes. It is a segment that will never be filled by the free market. We're also we would establish a $16 billion permanent fund for cities and provinces to access to help them build these projects faster, and that could go to the rest of the market housing. A lot of this population growth is necessary. We don't have enough people that work in construction and with the skills appropriate to build, but there is certainly a chicken-egg scenario, and we've definitely gotten it wrong, but we can do better. Closing the borders is not a good answer. That's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Simi. Ms. Mia, you have 1 minute.
Look, Mark Carney's government will double the pace of construction to almost 500,000 new homes a year, and he's going to cut the GST on houses under 1 million. We have a cap on immigration. Immigration is important. Like Mr. Simi said, we don't have enough workers and we have jobs to fill. And we're here to support our immigrants, our newcomers that are here to help our economy get stronger.
Thank you, Ms. Mia. Mr. Scheer, you have 1 minute.
What you have to remember is that everything the NDP and Liberals are promising are things that they promised and did for the last 10 years. Those policies caused the housing crisis. That is a direct result of what people are experiencing today, the dream of home ownership, falling further and further away from young people eager to start their lives, is a direct result of the same policies that Mark Carney and Jagmeet Singh are doubling down on. We have to make sure that our immigration levels are tied to what our economy can produce in terms of homes. We're going to cut the GST off of new home builds. That was a conservative idea. We are also going to sell off federal lands that are underused or not being used at all to create space to build more homes. We're also going to reward municipalities that get those processing and permitting times down. Millions of dollars, billions of dollars are lost from our economy simply because there's a piece of paper on some city hall bureaucrat's desk and it just needs to go over to the other table or the other desk, and it's not happening. That's a big reason why housing prices are going up. A Conservative government would tackle that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Scheer. Just a reminder to our candidates that the camera that has got the light on or waving at you is the camera you could look at if you would like. Ms. Failer, it is your turn. You have 1 minute.
Hey, working in residential construction majority of my life, I know that their homes can only be built so fast because there is limited trades that are able to complete the tasks. Money is also a portion of that. However, we need to only bring in as many people that we can handle, because right now we're have too many people, not enough houses. You cannot just bring people in and say, oh, then the houses will be built. Well, it takes time to build those houses. So we would impose a moratorium on immigration to let it reset and let the housing cool down, so that way we can have the houses available for the people, and making sure that the immigrants that are coming are economically sustainable for Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. All right, we'll move on to a question about education. Education is a major issue for many in Regina. How will your government support Regina's schools, particularly in terms of funding for K-12 education and post-secondary institution? This first question will go to you, Ms. Mia. You have 1 minute.
Look, education is a provincial thing, so it's about working with provincial governments and giving them a criteria of what needs to be done and how to spend the money that we provide with them. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mia. Mr. Scheer, you have 1 minute.
Well, as the Liberal candidate pointed out, primarily that is a provincial area of jurisdiction, but I will note that the province only has as much money to spend on education as it can collect from a growing economy. And when you have two political parties, both the NDP and Liberals, who are launching a full frontal assault on Saskatchewan's resources, on our agriculture, where is the provincial government going to come up with the money to adequately fund our schools when Carney and the Liberals, supported by Jagmeet Singh, keep cancelling those energy projects? And the deficits that the Liberals are racking up put a huge pressure on the ability for the federal government to provide transfers for education, like post-secondary. Right now, thanks to all the debt that the Liberals racked up, more of your tax dollar is going to pay the interest on the debt, going to bankers and bondholders, than going into important social programs. So by fixing the government, developing our natural resources, we can ensure the province has the funding it needs to support our education system.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. Ms. Failer, you have 1 minute.
The education system is provincial jurisdiction, and the People's Party will give that jurisdiction all to the Saskatchewan, and they will then distribute the funds as they see fit. I do believe that the system is broken with the education here in Saskatchewan, and they do need more funding, so they need to invest in the economy and not hold back. And we will cut the carbon tax to allow more of Saskatchewan to be able to work to provide into that economy.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. Mr. Simi, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Again, echoing everyone standing here today, this is a provincial issue, but I would have a few comments on the situation in Saskatchewan. Resource revenues. We are unique in the world in having the lowest royalty structures for resources. That plays into why we don't do as well as other resource-based economies. We don't have the money to put back in ourselves because we allow our resources to leave our borders for a song. That is something that needs to change. It isn't something that can be changed from the federal government. We tried that once before, the National Energy Plan, and it was roundly rejected by us here in the West, probably for good reasons, but it bears considering. A lot of the plans that the NDP has would help people access education. The most effective tax cuts for people that can't afford it would help get more people into post-secondary at the very least.
Thank you, Mr. Simi. Our next topic is healthcare. Access to healthcare is a concern for many in Regina, especially with long wait times. What measures will you take to ensure faster access to healthcare services? This question goes first to you, Mr. Scheer.
When the previous Conservative government was first elected, we brought in wait time guarantees and provided additional funding to provinces so they can bring down those wait times for important surgical procedures. I will note that the current Liberal government clawed back Saskatchewan's healthcare transfers, depriving our government's healthcare system from being able to provide the high quality of care that Saskatchewan residents deserve. The Liberals applied a double standard to Saskatchewan, something that they did not apply to any other province that had similar delivery models, and only the Conservative Party, only Conservative MPs from Saskatchewan stood up and fought against that. So we have a strong track record of ensuring that those federal transfers are there to support provincial governments in healthcare delivery. We will end the Liberal clawback, and we will make sure that the federal government spends less money going to bankers and bondholders on debt than it spends on healthcare, as is currently the case under the Carney-Trudeau Liberals.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. Ms. Failer, you have 1 minute.
Healthcare is the jurisdiction, or should be the jurisdiction, of Saskatchewan. And the People's Party will repeal the Canadian Health Act and create the condition for provincial and territorial governments to set up mixed private-public universal systems like other developed countries. They will be fully responsible for healthcare funding and management and fully accountable for their citizens for the result, while Ottawa will respect the Constitution and stop meddling.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. To you, Mr. Simi, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. The NDP plan involves creating residencies for internationally trained doctors to help streamline doctors coming from the United States. We're actually seeing a historic brain drain in the United States of doctors, engineers, scientists as a result of their policies. Across Canada licensing, we want to work with medical associations to have them harmonize their policies and allow professionals to move across the country and practice in any jurisdiction. And we want to support rural and northern communities, making sure we're training doctors and building appropriate housing and facilities for them to practice, and cut down on the bureaucracy that holds back effective delivery of healthcare.
Thank you, Mr. Simi. Ms. Mia, you have 1 minute.
Firstly, bring more doctors and nurses into Saskatchewan. Allow international doctors to be able to practice medicine in Canada much more easily than it is right now. Investing in doctors and nurses and make sure they're not overworked. I have friends that are nurses and I understand how overworked our health system is right now. And it's about working together with our provinces so we can make wait times less.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Mia. All right, well, our next question, candidates, is on agriculture for Canada's growth. The next question has been recorded in advance by Chris Prosick of Agricultural Producers of Saskatchewan. Let's have a listen.
In the APAS Federal Election Priorities document called Unleashing Agriculture for Canada's Growth, we highlight how recent changes in global trading relationships have raised urgent questions about whether Canada's transportation system is able to provide timely, cost-effective market access for agriculture and other export-dependent sectors. What specific commitments will your party make to invest in and modernize Canada's rail, road, and port infrastructure to improve the competitiveness of our agriculture sector and other export-dependent industries?
All right, this question goes to you first, Ms. Failer.
Okay. The People's Party would cut the red tape so that way companies can thrive. And we would work with the rail companies and transport companies to ensure that everything is delivered on time and where it needs to be. We would negotiate across seas for the pricing of the goods in which we sell.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. Mr. Simi, you have 1 minute.
One of the proudest policy planks that I have read in the NDP platform is our commitment to cross-Canada energy infrastructure as well as transportation infrastructure, and I believe that it is crucial in these changing times to help connect Canada together more so that, again, we can build a stronger made in Canada for Canadians economy. But as well, we have to support things like the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Thankfully, it was purchased and finished, and we are now selling LNG to the Asian market. Some of the biggest markets, yeah, we're selling LNG. Last ship left last month.
TMX, and your party opposed TMX,
We yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Simi. We'll continue on to Ms. Mia. You have 1 minute.
Look, a Mark Carney-led government will invest in ports and railways to help with faster transportation of Canadian goods across Canada. Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mia. Mr. Scheer, you have 1 minute.
Yeah, first of all, what the NDP don't want you to know is that as they don't believe in transporting Saskatchewan's energy. They just don't. They voted against Energy East. They voted against Northern Gateway. The NDP opposed TMX. I'm surprised that you brought that up, Mr. Shimmy, because your party was aggressively against that particular pipeline. And it used to be in Canada that you didn't need the government to build pipelines because there was an approvals process that had stable goalposts that project proponents could hit. But when it comes to getting our agricultural products to market and supporting our agricultural sector, only the Conservative Party fought against the Liberal fertilizer cap. Only the Conservative Party was fighting to take the carbon tax off of things like grain drying. And if you look at the Conservative Party record, we invested in the Asian Pacific corridor that benefited farmers here in Saskatchewan. It also created jobs with the global transportation hub, allowing Saskatchewan to get much, much more of its products to Asian markets, to markets all around the world. That's a record of success. The Liberals didn't get it done in the last 10 years. Why would anybody believe they could get it done in 4 more years?
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. Well, thank you, everyone. We are now done the debate, and we'll move to our closing comments. And based on our draw earlier, this is a reverse draw from our opening. So, Miss Mia, you have opening comments. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you all for taking your time to watch today's debate. We are at a pivotal moment in Canadian history. A moment where splitting the vote is not an option because far too much is at risk. I urge you, make your voice heard by voting by April 28th. The threats posed by Donald Trump to our sovereignty and by Pierre Poilievre to our economy and social safety net are very real. Pierre Poilievre carries a sense of entitlement to the office of Prime Minister as it's a role he's been chasing since childhood. But leadership isn't about ambition. It's about service, and his platform is driven more by personal ambition than by the needs of Canadians. That doesn't make him a better leader. In Regina Quapel, what we need now isn't another 20 years of inaction. We need a representative who listens, who shows up, who serves every community with respect and compassion. Andrew Scheer has spent 2 decades as the MP of this riding, but has made himself increasingly unapproachable, distant from the people he's supposed to represent. In 20 years, he could have knocked on every single door in his riding, but instead he spent those years ignoring them. There is no room for arrogance in Canadian politics. Arrogance clouds judgment, it creates distance, and it breaks the trust between an MP and their constituents. That's not who I am, and it's not the kind of leadership this riding needs. I believe in treating people the way I want to be treated. I believe in earning trust by listening, not assuming, and most of all, I believe that the residents of Regina Quapel deserve to be heard. Let's build a future where every voice counts. Let's move forward together and make Canada strong.
Thank you, Ms. Mia. Ms. Failer, you are next. You have 2 minutes for closing comments.
Thank you for watching the debates. I'm sure you've all heard the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Now knowing that there's more parties than just the Liberals and the Conservatives, you do have a choice come this election. The People's Party wants to cut government spending, encourage investment and productivity so that way Canadian businesses can thrive. We want to protect the vulnerable, and we want to stand up for our veterans. In this election, you can make a difference. You can vote for me, Dion Failer, and the People's Party of Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Failer. Mr. Simi, closing comments. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you for watching this important discussion tonight, and thanks to everyone for coming tonight. It is very important that people have the right information in time. I regret personally that this took place after 7 million Canadians have voted, but here we are. The main reason I came tonight was not to change minds. Debates don't tend to change minds. Most people tuned in know where they're going to vote, but I came largely to draw attention to one fact, and that's strategic voting is steering this election and what we do. And I have been out door knocking in the riding and speaking with as many folks as I can during a snap election with no preparation. And what I have learned is that the numbers being projected down onto this riding don't comport with reality. There hasn't been a mass exodus from the NDP here. We are the best option in this riding for a Canada First party and a representative that will listen to your concerns. There's a reason that Mr. Scheer was frankly upset when I mentioned Trans Mountain Pipeline and my tacit approval of that project against my party's wishes. But as a Saskatchewan resident and someone looking to represent Saskatchewan, that's a simple fact that that was a good move. And in these times, it is a blessing that we have that project. It was a very good thing because without it, we'd be even more danger right now economically. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simi. And Mr. Scheer, you have 2 minutes for closing comments.
Thanks very much. I'd ask viewers to look past the false and erroneous, nasty and divisive attacks from some of my opponents and consider this question. In addition to which political party has always been on Saskatchewan's side, does the Liberal government deserve to be rewarded with a 4th term? The problems facing Canadians, especially here in Regina and in Saskatchewan, are caused by Liberal policies. Inflation is caused when governments print money out of thin air and flood the economy with brand new cash not backed up with any new production. The carbon tax came from the government. Cancelling Energy East and Northern Gateway was a Liberal Party decision supported by the NDP. Mark Carney believes in all the same policies as Justin Trudeau. His platform actually spends even more and racks up even more debt. He's kept the same cabinet ministers and the same advisors. So the exact same people who inflicted so much pain and misery on our province over the last 10 years will be right there with Mark Carney for the next 4. And Mark Carney has never chosen Canada. He's moved investments and jobs out of Canada, moving his headquarters to New York City, moving his assets to Bermuda to avoid paying Canadian taxes. I've had the honor of representing this riding in Ottawa, being your voice and your champion for Saskatchewan. I've knocked doors in every community. I've visited people in their homes in every part of Regina Quapel. I've heard your stories. I've been there to learn about your industries and your families and your communities. And it's been the honor of my lifetime to be your voice in Ottawa. And if you elect me again, I will continue to be that loud and proud champion for Saskatchewan's oil and gas. I will fight with every fiber of my being against unfair taxes and double standards from Liberal Party and NDP politicians who impose one set of rules on Saskatchewan and another for other provinces. And we will fight to scrap the Liberal electrical regulations that are going to spike your Sask power bill. So I'm humbly asking for your vote on April 28th.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. I want a big thank you to all our candidates for your passion and being part of the democratic process. Democracy is a wonderful privilege, and we hope you exercise that freedom by casting a ballot on April 28th. Our second debate for the evening has come to an end. My name is Lisa Peters, and from all of us here at Access Communications, I want to thank you for watching tonight. Our coverage continues tomorrow at 6 p.m. with the riding of Regina Wascana.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today.